Apocalypse. Beginning by hoarding 10 billion supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351. Sister Lan, notify all the superpowers in the city and enter a state of first level alert. Muyun ordered Sister Lan at this time to let the entire Dragon Court enter the first level of alert. Yes. Sister Lan nodded. Since Muyun said so, something big must have happened. By the way, give King Gongzi and them a ranger room. Muyun looked at the darker and darker sky and ordered his subordinates. I haven't brought you a meal yet. When you are full, you have strength, Muyun said, and let people arrange a sumptuous dinner party. I rely on its fresh vegetables, groove, and fruit platter. If I'm not mistaken, this is pork. Muyun did not specifically entertain them and usually gave whatever he ate. But even these things, they can't help but stir up the beautiful Chinese dialect. Kinyu is better. After all, he is the eldest grandson of the Qin family and the only heir of the Qin family. But the few superpowers who followed Kinyu couldn't dream of eating these things. Please. Muyun made a gesture. Although these powerful people have straight eyes, they are still very disciplined. They were just one of them, and after tasting all the dishes, they put down their chopsticks and waited for Kinyu to speak. Don't worry, in the Dragon Court, you don't need to test the poison. I'm too lazy to use that. Muyun could see what this soldier was doing. Get used to it. Get used to it. The psychic smiled and said awkwardly. You don't have to be inhibited. It's commonplace. You stay here for a few more days. Every day. Muyun waved his hand and spoke. Tubeful, Muyun said, and began to move his chopsticks. I have eaten. You eat slowly. If it is not enough, let people continue to serve you. Muyun only ate a few bites and then said that he was full. Because he was on the table, except for Kinyu who moved a few chopsticks, the others did not dare to move at all. Is this afraid of making a foreign appearance in front of this outsider and embarrassing the Qin family? Okay, you few don't have to pretend. Since Muyun said that it's enough, you can eat more. Kinyu looked at the few people who were forced to endure saliva and spoke. Yes. After several people got Kinyu's instructions, they gobbled up. And Kinyu couldn't help but take a few more fresh fruits. City Lord, they have already eaten 4 tables. Muyun stood outside the room, observing the situation in the city. You can see that they are gluttonous. Muyun smiled and showed understanding. This table of dishes, usually more than a dozen people can eat. There were only 6 of Kinyu's group. That's a good meal. Muyun, we are full. Thank you for your hospitality. After a while, Kinyu walked out a little embarrassed. He ate it all himself, not to mention several other people. Just eat your fill. Muyun nodded. Muyun, just now you said that it is not only people who pose a threat to us. Could it be that this time there are other species attacking? Although Kinyu was straight, his brain reaction speed was still very fast. 5, 4, 3, 2. Muyun did not directly answer Kinyu, but began to count. Muyun, what are you counting? Kinyu was a little confused and asked. 1. The last number was said in Muyun's mouth. Boom. As the last number ended, Dragon City shook violently. Don't panic, Muyun said, and strode towards the outer city. Half of the powers guard the outer city. Half of the powers remaining within Dragon City, scattered in all corners. In a group of 5, the strongest in a group is the captain. The poor have been evacuated long ago. Earthquakes don't last long, but they are just a primer. Everyone, enter the first level of alert. Muyun gave the order as he walked. Yes. The crowd took orders and began to carry it out. Muyun, how did you know that there would be an earthquake, and even the time was so accurate? Kinyu looked at Muyun with an incredulous expression. Could it be that Muyun has a plugin? Otherwise, how could it be predicted in such detail in advance? This is the end of the world, big brother. Everyone has a bit of a special ability to predict what is strange about an earthquake. You don't have special abilities, you can detect it in advance with a seismometer. You wouldn't be so obsessed with leading troops to fight that you hadn't read a book, would you? Mu-Yun glanced at Kinyu and spoke. Of course, he would not tell Kinyu about his rebirth memory. I've read books. Kinyu said halfway, feeling that he was indeed a little degraded by saying this. How many of you have you eaten enough? Mu-Yun's gaze crossed Kinyu to look at the 5 superpowers. Yes, I'm full. The 5 superpowers were also embarrassed to speak. After all, 5 people ate so many things. There will be a bitter battle. Don't eat our dragon court's food in vain. Mu-Yun nodded and spoke. There will be a hard battle in a while. Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Kinyu was stunned for a moment. How else? It's just an earthquake. I'll keep you like this? You'll know in a moment how well intentioned I'm to keep you like this. Chance rolled his eyes. The earthquake did not have much effect on the supernatural. The 5 of you go to the inner city for 3 and the outer city wall for 2. Mu-Yun said to the 5 superpowers beside Kinyu. The most important thing for them this time was to protect Kinyu. Although they ate Mu-Yun's meal, they also had a task ahead of them. Okay, you can go. I don't need your protection. Kinyu waved his hand. He was not a flower rack. There is really any danger, unless it is in the realm of kings, it cannot be a mortal threat to itself. Yes. Hearing Kinyu speak, the 5 superpowers glanced at each other, and according to Mu-Yun's words, began to exert their strength. 210 order, the official of the Hua kingdom is also a big deal. After a few supernatural beings left, Mu-Yun said, actually, I'm not used to having people around me. But in this last days, in everything, be careful of the Lord. Kinyu was not surprised that Mu-Yun could see through the realm of several people around him. After all, he could become the Dragon Court City Lord and create such a huge force. How could he be blind? Just stay with me. There will be danger in the inner city. Mu-Yun nodded. I understand that there are dangers in the outer city, but in the inner city, could it be that in the Dragon Court of the City Lord Mu, there are still some villains with wolf ambitions? After hearing Mu-Yun's words, Kinyu asked. That's not it. People's hearts are hard to guard against. It's only one aspect in the last days. Chapter 352. Now in the Dragon Court, the chance of civil unrest is very small. On the one hand, the powerful people who have no intention or other forces lurking inside have been uprooted. On the other hand, Longting has been accumulating power for a long time, and many people who had ulterior motives at the beginning are now good boys. After all, in the last days, follow the Dragon Court and work hard, at least you can eat enough. Among the other forces, the boss is not necessarily better than the ordinary city defense team members here. In the last days, staying alive is the most important thing. Are you the 9th order? Mu-Yun suddenly asked. Yes, the middle of the 9th order. Kinyu nodded. For Mu-Yun, he had nothing to hide. The second generation of officials is good. Ugh. Suddenly, in the inner city, there was a scream. Here it comes. Mu-Yun frowned. The location of this scream came from the slums. Even if there are supernatural beings there, the rank is very low. It can be said that once there is danger, the slums can only be slaughtered. But fortunately, Mu-Yun had already anticipated this, and before that, let a quarter of the Dragon Court superpowers guard the slums. Go. Mu-Yun's figure quickly appeared in the slum. At this time, the changes that occurred have been eliminated by the quick-eyed city defense team. This is. Kinyu stepped forward and looked at the behemoth that appeared, his brows furrowed. It's very similar to the beasts. Kinyu looked up and down. Huge carapaces, sharp teeth, and densely packed feet and limbs. This thing is much more difficult to deal with than the orcs. Mu-Yun shook his head. Although these two races are considered flesh and blood, the defense of the beast race is still easy to break. And the beast race relies on physical brute force, as well as rough skin and thick flesh. These things not only have various headaches, such as devouring, sound waves, but also spraying acid water with extremely corrosive ability. Some can even release poisonous gas. The beast race is very different from the sudden appearance in front of you. If you compare it, the beast race is still flesh and blood, and it is much easier to deal with. What the hell is this? Kinyu couldn't help but ask. Could it be the Zerg? Kinyu frowned again, remembering this disgusting race. Yes, it's the Zerg. Mu-Yun nodded. Kinyu was also well informed. If it's really a Zerg, the Dragon Court is in danger. Hearing Mu-Yun's affirmative answer, Kinyu sighed. If it's really dangerous, I won't force you to stay. After all, I don't have the habit of pulling people's backs. Mu Yun just smiled. Qin Yu, are you the town guard? Shinong a beast tide town guard stupid. The beast tide is all rushing towards you. After all, you blocked the entire Shinongjia. But the Zerg are not. They are all over the Blue Star. Now the entire Hua Kingdom, and even the entire Blue Star. I'm afraid that they are suffering from earthquakes and Zerg invasions. Although the Dragon Court has entered a first level state of alert this time, it is not facing all the Zergs, but only a small number of Zergs. Mu Yun expressed his understanding of Qin Yu's brain circuit. After all, the beast tide is used to guarding the beast tide, and the beast tide that rushes out, what you see, is what you get. All need to be suppressed by the official of the Chinese country. I see. Qin Yu nodded. However, the Zerg has strong combat power, and the abilities they have are also strange, which is a headache. It's still careful, Mu Yun said, and his body soared into the air. Wicked beasts, not yet subject to death. Looking at the huge insects crawling out of the cracks in the ground, Mu Yun quickly arrived. Die. Mu Yun coldly spoke, and this 7th order Zerg directly collapsed in its body, and turned into a dead body. It seems that these Zergs know which people are good to bully, and which people are not good to bully. There are a lot of people in the slums here, and there's no ability to resist. The Zerg love blood food, and this place is their best choice. Mu Yun looked at the other places, but there was no movement. Only the Zergs in the slums are constantly emerging. Qin Yu, you go and help see the situation of the Zerg outside the city today. I'm here to guard the Zerg. Mu Yun originally said that he and Qin Yu were working together to solve the Zerg. But now it seems that it is better to act separately to achieve the highest efficiency. Good. Qin Yu nodded and quickly rushed to the outer city. This Zerg is also really disgusting and can crawl in and out of the cracks of the earthquake. It's hard to guard against, and it's extremely destructive. There are not many Zerg outside the city. After a while, Qin Yu rushed back and spoke. This Zerg is really much more difficult to deal with than the beasts. I see. Mu Yun smoothly solved a huge centipede. Mu Yun, how long will this Zerg attack last? In Qin Yu's opinion, Mu Yun was like a god, and earthquakes could be accurately budgeted. The time of this Zerg attack should also be known. I really don't know that. Mu Yun shook his head. The Zerg, a brainless thing, is not afraid of life and death, and attacking can be said to be endless. Smear the blood of the killed Zerg on your body. Mu Yun ordered everyone. Deliver to everyone at once. Mu Yun was suddenly surprised to find that he had killed the 7th order beast race, and the beast race below the 7th order had bypassed him when he saw him. This made Mu Yun extremely surprised. If this is the case, the original battle of the Dragon Court will be much easier to solve. Smear the highest order Zerg blood you killed all over your body. I have the blood of the 7th order Zerg here, Mu Yun said, and kicked the Zerg corpse out. Boom. Outside the city, at this time, there was also the sound of the Zerg attack. Mu Yun, what if the Zerg army attacks from the cracks in the city? Qin Yu also asked, after killing a Zerg with his hands. If it is caught between inside and outside, the Dragon Court is really in a great passive state. No, there are not many Zerg who can dive underground. The reason why there are Zerg in the inner city today is because these Zerg are originally dormant under the Dragon Court. It was just an earthquake that awakened these Zergs, coupled with the appearance of cracks, which caused these Zergs to reach the inner city. Mu Yun opened his mouth to explain, indicating that Qin Yu did not need to worry. Moreover, a brainless race like the Zerg, if it weren't for the cracks and the earthquake, they wouldn't have thought of hitting inside and outside. Unless it's a highly intelligent Zerg commanding these Zerg. But the Zerg with high IQ is at least 10 ranks. 10th order Zerg. Mu Yun just shook his head. There were many Zergs, and it's inexhaustible. However, there are not many Zergs of the real rank high. This is the so-called multiplicity of soldiers and not refinement. But there are too many of them. The insects see tactics, inexhaustible, and the reproduction rate is extremely fast. This also makes the Zerg one of several big clans. And the beast race, etc. can also discuss this Zerg. Discuss a Fatah. Chapter 353. City Lord. Just as Mu Yun solved the Zerg, he heard an anxious voice appear. What's wrong? Mu Yun turned his head and looked in the direction of the voice. Outside the city, a 10th order Zerg has appeared. With extremely strong strength and extremely destructive power. If you don't kill it, I'm afraid the outer city wall will be destroyed. The person who came was healing. At this time, she was very anxious. If the outer city wall was destroyed, the Dragon Court would really be in trouble. It was like a beautiful woman, exposed to hooligans. 10th order Zerg. King Yu, who heard this, frowned. Go. Mu Yun soared into the air and rushed outside the city. It's really huge. The 10th order Zerg has countless tentacles and tentacles. At a glance, it is creepy. This is giant centipede. King Yu, who followed behind, gasped. Centipedes, even if they do not mutate, are one of the 4 poisons. Now the 10th order, don't say much about the power it has, the toxicity in it. It's terrifying to think about. City Lord, the Zerg and Sea clan and the Beast clan are really different. Can they evolve to the 10th order of anything? Niud as they unbreathlessly spoke at this time. No, this is a 100-legged zombie. There are not many Zergs that can evolve into a 10th order Zerg. Mu Yun shook his head. Up to now, except for this 10th order 100-legged zombie worm, the highest is only the 7th order. But the number of Zergs is too terrifying. 100-foot zombie worm, the most terrifying thing is not poison, but controllability. Its body can shoot out a lot of worms, and once the worms enter the body, they will be controlled by it. Mu Yun said another terrifying thing about the 100-footed zombie worm. This is what you can't prevent. Mu Yun's words made everyone get goosebumps. In human instinct, being uncontrollable and controlled by others is the most terrifying. However, the 100-legged zombie worm is most afraid of thunder and fire energy, especially the fire system. Although the attack power of the thunder system far exceeds that of the fire system's restraint against the 100-footed zombie worm is the strongest. Then I'll come. Can you move forward at this time? How did he feel that Mu Yun's words were ordering him? This is a 10th order 100-legged zombie. You are a 9th order, okay. Mu Yun couldn't help but smile and glanced at King Yu. The 100-legged zombie worm looks like it's just around the beginning of the 10th order. Although I'm a 9th order, I'm a 9th order peak. King Yu spoke with great confidence. So, aren't you still a 9th order? Isn't the 100-legged zombie still a 10th order? Mu Yun didn't understand at all. Did King Yu say a word of nonsense? Is this King Yu also a demon? Can you skip the level of combat? King Yu's identity, everyone knows. King Yu's power is the only heir of the Qin family, and in the future, the entire official of the Chinese kingdom will be controlled by him. Therefore, everyone was extremely looking forward to the power that King Yu displayed. Even Mu Yun didn't think that the 9th order King Yu would be defeated. The reason why he brought King Yu over was also to let King Yu contribute. Now Mu Yun does not want to use his whole cards in front of outsiders. Burning Heaven's fury. King Yu stepped forward and jumped straight down from the city. Be careful. Mu Yun was in the rear, and he couldn't help but pinch a cold sweat. Looking at King Yu, he doesn't look like such a tiger person. How can he fight so fierce? Boom. Even if it is separated by a city wall, even if the city wall can absorb the heat wave, but the air at the head of the city was distorted. Squeak. The original 100-legged zombie worm couldn't look at the 9th order King Yu at all. An ordinary ant can lift 6 ants about the same size as himself. An ordinary Terran can only lift 2 Terrans similar to themselves at most. This proves that the power of the Zerg itself is stronger than that of the Terrans. If a supernatural wants to kill a Zerg of the same rank, he also needs at least 3 times the number. Therefore, King Yu, who was a lower rank, was just a mantis in the eyes of a 100-legged zombie. However, with King Yu's attack, all the 100-legged zombie worm could do was scream. I lean on, a 10th order 100-legged zombie worm, in King Yu's hands. He doesn't even have the power to parry. Mu Yun didn't expect that King Yu's combat power was so strong. I really didn't expect that King Yu was the same as the city lord, and he could fight beyond the level. Looking at such a fierce King Yu, everyone couldn't help but praise. Can he compare to me? Mu Yun pouted. If the 100-footed zombie worm is so capable, it will not be one of the 4 pests. Mu Yun continued to speak. This is not Mu Yun acid. Mu Yun is not. King Yu, retreat back. The 100-footed zombie is going to fight back. Mu Yun spoke loudly to the bottom of the city. SHHH. The 100-footed zombie worm was completely enraged by the flames, and its power exploded, rushing towards Kinyu. Go. Kinyu's ability to control fire reached the extreme, and he actually used flames to push himself, so that his body could move at an extremely fast speed. Kill. Watching countless worms shoot towards him, Kinyu once again manipulated the flames, and protected himself in it. Mutant fire system. Kinyu's flames were purple to a level of enchantment. This is? Kinyu below, looking at the motionless 100-legged zombie worm, frowned. When things go wrong, there will be demons, and this is a truth that everyone understands. After all, a 10th order 100-legged zombie insect could not be killed so easily, even if Kinyu is strong, whether the fire system is mutated. Unless Kinyu also reached the 10th order 100-legged zombie worm, molt. On the 100-legged zombie worm, cracks began to appear, and the cracks spread rapidly, and the cracks kept getting bigger. Burning heaven's fury. Kinyu frowned and attacked again, and Kinyu's attack accelerated the speed of the 100-legged zombie molting. Kinyu. Quickly return to the city. Muyun spoke at the head of the city. At this time, Kinyu also saw that something was wrong, and he was not reckless, and returned directly to the city. After all, in the last days, the hero has no effect at all, except to let himself suffer harm. SHHH. After the 100-legged zombie worm molted, its body size was 3 times larger than it was directly expanded. The 100-legged zombie worm, which was originally tens of meters, has now directly turned into a 100-meter-long worm. Late 10th order. Kinyu gasped. This thing is growing too fast. Just now, Kinyu felt that he had the power to fight, but now he knew that if he didn't use most of his whole cards, he was afraid that he would not be an opponent. How about a fight? Muyun looked at Kinyu and asked. After all, Muyun would never allow the 100-legged zombie to approach the outer city wall. This thing is too damaging now. Good. Kinyu nodded and agreed happily. Chapter 355. Of course, this special energy adder is also one of Kinyu's whole cards. Although Kinyu is straight, he sees people extremely accurately. Muyun is not a person who covets other people's treasures at all. Although he also has a dark side, Muyun is definitely not a villain. So Kinyu was willing to take out one of his whole cards. Burning heaven. Kinyu roared angrily outside the city wall. It's like turning into a huge stove at the head of the outer city. Even if it is absorbed by the special material of the outer city, many supernatural people need to join forces to offset this heat. The peak of the 9th order, terrifying. A supernatural who couldn't help but mutter. It's not that he hasn't seen a 10th order psychic. After all, in the Dragon Court, you may not see anything else, but you definitely see a lot of this kind of thing in the world. Kinyu's 9th order peak, the energy he exerted now, is definitely not weaker than any 10th order existence. Good brother, it's really good to cooperate. Muyun looked at the 100-legged zombie that had been completely killed and smiled. Thank you. If it's just me, I'm really not the opponent of this 100-legged zombie. I have exerted my full strength, but looking at the appearance of the Mu City Lord, I'm at ease. Kinyu just nodded. This fight, although he could feel Muyun's horror. However, to what extent Muyun was terrifying, he could not know. But thank you for using the blessings of the Absolute Realm at the end. Otherwise, with my powers booster alone, the fire energy I cast would definitely not be so strong. The reason why Kinyu can kill the 100-legged zombie insect in seconds, in addition to the bonus of the special energy bonus, is also an energy blessing that Muyun uses the Absolute Realm. They all said that it was cooperation. What did they say about this? Muyun smiled harmlessly. Your energy consumption is about the same. Muyun grabbed Kinyu and landed at the head of the city and asked, well, the energy consumption this time is indeed more serious. Kinyu nodded. This isn't the first time he's crossed a level and completed a kill, but he had no experience fighting the Zerg. Coupled with the previous leapfrog battles, it was all a dozen superpowers or even dozens of superpowers working together to fight. This time, only he and Muyun cooperated with each other. There were only 2 people, and although Muyun made a great effort, he did not make much effort. Boom. After Muyun heard Kinyu's answer, he directly threw out a bunch of crystal nuclei. Give you energy. Muyun smiled and said, everyone. Receive crystal nuclei now for energy replenishment. No need to save, Mu Yun said, and threw out a small mountain of crystal nuclei. Kinyu had long known that Mu Yun was rich. After all, with so many materials, it was impossible to lack crystal nuclei. However, he did not expect that Mu Yun could be rich to such an extent. So many high-level crystal nuclei, just thrown on the ground casually. Love who uses whom. This is simply more than the official local tyrants of China. Now the battle is not over. Everyone, cheer up. This is not our first fight, and it is definitely not our last. We invincible. Mu Yun finished absorbing a piece of crystal nucleus and spoke loudly. Invincible. Invincible. Kill. As Mu Yun spoke, many supernatural beings also spoke loudly. This morale. The Dragon Court soldiers have not undergone any so-called systematic training, nor have they undergone any so-called brainwashing. But their morale even exceeded the morale of the official Huago superpowers. Niu Dazuang. Mu Yun turned his head and called out Niu Dazuang's name. City Lord. Niu Dazuang arrived quickly. You lead a few people to smear the city wall with the blood of the 100-legged zombie worm, save some use, and try to coat the city wall as much as possible. By the way, squeeze all the blood and apply it with water. Mu Yun opened his mouth to Niu Dazuang and ordered. Yes. Niu Dazuang nodded. Although he didn't know why Mu Yun would let himself do this. But now in the midst of the battle, he was not qualified to ask Mu Yun's arrangement. The 100-legged zombie has been killed, and the battle should be almost over. 100-foot zombie worms die, blood bursts, and these zergs will carry out certain evasion. Mu Yun and Kinyu only paused for a moment before entering the battle again. As time passed, the battle continued again for almost an hour, and finally no zerg continued to appear and attack. Phew. It's finally over. Everyone collapsed to the ground tired. This zerg attack, although not as endless as the Sea Tribe, is obviously more difficult to kill. And the abilities they have are also different, which makes people unpreventable. You're strong. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu, who was frantically absorbing energy, and opened his mouth to evaluate. I feel that, if I'm of the same rank, I'm not your opponent. Although I have hull cards, I believe that your hull cards will not be worse than mine. But fortunately, now I'm the peak of the 9th order. You are the beginning of the 9th order. I can barely fight with you. Although Kinyu understood Mu Yun's strength, he did not deny himself. If it was someone else, even if it was the peak of the same rank, it would not be my opponent. But your energy is obviously more refined and huge. You can. Mu Yun nodded. Let's stretch out our hands, and don't hit the smiling person. There is no need to say that people just can't beat it. People had just helped Long Ting kill a 10th order 100-legged zombie. Can I fight you? At this time, Kinyu suddenly spoke. It's not impossible, but let's wait for the insect tide to end. Now our energy is temporarily focused on the insect tide. Mu Yun did not refuse Kinyu's proposal, but he did not immediately fight. But tide? Isn't it already over? Hearing Mu Yun's words, Kinyu did not frown. There should be another wave. But I'm just guessing. Once it's really realized, don't say I'm a crow's mouth. Mu Yun smiled and said, okay, you don't have to pretend. Since you said everything, there will definitely be a second wave of insects. Kinyu waved his hand. Mu Yun's ability to foreknow, he admired. He now seriously doubted that Mu Yun could predict the future. Boom. As Kinyu's words ended, an 8th order beetle, with its huge wings, launched an attack on the supernatural at the head of the city. Although the quality of the Dragon Court superpowers is quite high, but the 8th order Zerg cannot deal with it alone, but there are not many. HMPH. Mu Yun's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already above the head of the beetle. Die. Mu Yun just let this 8th order Zerg collapse with a bang, and fall straight outside the city wall. Chapter 356. For Mu Yun's operation, everyone was not surprised. Mu Yun can be killed when he crosses the ranks, let alone any lower level Zerg. This time the insect tide attacked. Is there still a 10th order insect king? Kinyu stood behind Mu Yun and asked. Not necessarily. Mu Yun shook his head. He only knew that there could not be only one wave of insect tide attack, but the quantity and quality of a wave of insect tide, Mu Yun really didn't know very well. When he thought about his previous life, he had also heard that a huge force was attacked by the insect tide and was destroyed in a short period of time. And a family with only a dozen people, the attacking Zerg, but all of them are first order Zerg. In the end, he miraculously survived. So now can you ask Mu Yun this question, and Mu Yun couldn't answer. However, the 100-legged zombie has just arrived and has already folded here, and if the 10th order insect king appears again, the combat power will definitely surpass the 100-legged zombie. Although Mu Yun couldn't know if a 10th order insect king would appear this time, he was still very clear about the rules. You say, will there be a king of insects in the realm of kings? At this time, can you thought of an extremely terrifying thing? Hey, good brother, don't think about this. The king realm is the insect emperor, and it is impossible to appear at will. Mu Yun waved his hand, signaling Kinyu not to think so deeply. If the insect emperor of the king realm really appears, won't we be finished? Kinyu still felt unstable at this time. After all, there are no absolutes in all things. Did you fight with the beast emperor during the period when you were guarding the Shinanjia beast tide? Mu Yun rolled his eyes and asked. This is really not. But although I haven't fought with the beast emperor, I have met the beast emperor. Kinyu thought for a moment and nodded. Met. Talked. When Mu Yun heard this, he became a little interested. Yes, the beast emperor said that he needed to go and greet someone, so he signed a truce. We really didn't want to fight day and night, so we agreed. Kinyu spoke truthfully. Okay, stop talking. Here comes the big guy. Mu Yun did not answer because he knew that the person in Kinyu's mouth was Chuantian. Boom. Mu Yun stepped out in one step, and a 7th order Zerg directly died. At this time, the entire dragon court all moved. Because the number of insect tides this time is obviously more than the first insect tide. And the quality of this insect tide is also more than the quality of the last insect tide. This time, many Zerg have the ability to fly for a short time. Moreover, the abilities he possesses are also strange and unpreventable. Boom. In the dragon court, the roar of battle was constantly emitted. Outside the dragon court, there is a tide of insects composed of more Zergs, constantly impacting the city wall. After the end times, not a day has passed. Mu Yun couldn't help but complain. This day, first extremely hot, then the sea tribe attacked, and this Zerg attacked. There is no day to stop. Kill. The sound of the dragon court fighting is endless. Phew. Finally, after 2 hours, the sound of battle disappeared. This time the beast tide attack, fortunately, did not appear the 10th order insect king. Otherwise, another vicious battle. How is it enjoyable to watch? After the battle, Mu Yun couldn't help but think Li Hanyu and asked, HMPH, I didn't watch the play. Look at the soldiers of your dragon court, only the wounded, but not the dead. That's enough for you to thank me properly. Of course, Li Hanyu knew what Mu Yun meant and rolled her eyes and spoke. Thank you fairy. Mu Yun smiled and quickly thanked him. You change your face so fast. Li Hanyu pouted. The man's mouth really can't be believed. The harvest was also good. This insect tide attacked, and the crystal nuclei produced were of more pure quality. Because the Zerg's spiritual intelligence is the lowest, there are no distractions at all. Therefore, their crystal nuclei, compared to the crystal nuclei produced by other races, are of superior quality. Slow protein, no, pure energy. Young Masterkin, thank you. Mu Yun hugged his fist to show his gratitude. You're welcome. Today's battle is also really painful. Kinyu waved his hand, indicating that it was just a small matter. So I can leave now, right? Kinyu looked at Mu Yun and asked. You just finished fighting, now leave. Are you sure? Mu Yun really couldn't figure out why Kinyu was in such a hurry to leave. It's not a secret, I only have 7 days to change my defense when I return to Kyoto this time. This one back and forth, that's 2 days. I'm here for a day. That's almost 4 days. There is also a day to spend with my family, and I only have more than a day of free time. Kinyu sighed and spoke extremely pitifully. You are the grandson of the Kin family. You still want to abide by this so-called change of defense holiday so much. I really don't see that you are so principled. Mu Yun glanced at Kinyu and spoke. But then again, don't you have another day? Staying in my dragon court. Have you been wronged? Mu Yun asked again. Truth be told, I have one more thing that I need to do. Kinyu shook his head and said that he must go back. Oh, can you tell me about it? Mu Yun asked jokingly. Is this running back to meet his little girlfriend? I will sweep the graves of my dead comrades for a day. Kinyu's words suddenly became sad, and even 2 lines of tears slipped down. Hey, don't do that. Mu Yun scratched his head, already knowing that he didn't ask. He is the most sensitive to this kind of emotional drama. I'll send you. Mu Yun quickly spoke. Sister Lan, give all the supplies to young Master Qin and prepare them. By the way, King Gong's materials, I will pay 3 times. Mu Yun opened his mouth to Sister Lan and ordered. Yes, I understand. Just now, Qin Feng contributed, but Sister Lan saw it clearly. So now Mu Yun is doing this. Sister Lan said that her hands are in favor. You send me? How do you send me? Looking at Mu Yun with a sincere face, Kinyu did not doubt Mu Yun's words. Forget it, you still have to fold back and forth. No need. Kinyu waved his hand and spoke. I also saw that you were so sincere to send you other people's words. I'm really lazy to say this sentence. Mu Yun smiled. This sincere and loyal Kinyu was very appetizing to him. Chuyu. Mu Yun opened his mouth and called. What for? Chuyu has not yet eased up in the sadness of her sister's departure, and she still looks like I see pity. Take us somewhere. Mu Yun spoke. What place? Chuyu's answer to this question was also quick. Kyoto. Chapter 357. Kyoto? After hearing Mu Yun's words, Chuyu was a little puzzled. To drop him off. Chuyu reacted quickly. Good. Mu Yun nodded. With Chuyu there, it would come and go much faster. Are the supplies ready? Mu Yun turned around, saw the supernatural carrying materials back and forth, and asked. It's all ready. Sister Lan was also finished counting at this time, and the efficiency of the Dragon Court was so fast. What about the superpowers and secretaries who came with you? Mu Yun looked at Kinyu, who was only alone, and asked. Here it is. Several bloodstained superpowers stood beside Kinyu, ready to teleport. Mu Yun looked at Chuyu and spoke. Brush. With Chuyu's energy urging, Mu Yun and several people disappeared at the head of Dragon Court City. Thank you. Kinyu looked at the familiar environment and thanked Mu Yun. Don't thank me, thank her if you want. Mu Yun pointed to Chuyu and spoke. In fact, in our family, there is also a supernatural who can teleport. But Grandpa said that this kind of supernatural should not be exposed casually. Now it seems that my grandfather is not as generous as you. Kinyu smiled and thanked Chuyu. Then our Dragon Court has a supernatural who can teleport, and you will also keep it secret. Mu Yun nodded. A powerful person like Chuyu was a whole card in terms of other forces. Even for the Dragon Court, only Chuyu had this power. A must. Now, I give a military order to a few of you not to tell everything in the Dragon Court. Otherwise, it is a violation of military orders. Kinyu nodded and looked at the few superpowers around him. Yes. Several supernatural beings nodded quickly. They were originally the henchmen specially cultivated for Kinyu. Kinyu's words are heaven. That's goodbye. Mu Yun hugged his fists and prepared to leave. It's all at the door. Come in and sit. Kinyu grabbed Mu Yun's arm and held it back. There are opportunities later. Mu Yun refused again. After all, you don't like people, and I don't like it. Mu Yun smiled lightly and quietly flicked away Kinyu's palm. I understand. Then, Kinyu nodded and began to fumble with his pockets. You hold this thing. If there is anything in the future, you will come to me with this thing. Kinyu took out a token and put it in Mu Yun's hand. Young Master Qin. At this time, Kinyu's secretary couldn't help but speak. What's wrong? Kinyu frowned, causing the secretary to close his mouth. And just through this move, you can know that this token is definitely not ordinary. Then we are in Kyoto. Kinyu waved his hand, but he really didn't keep it anymore. Good. Mu Yun put the token away and watched Kinyu leave. This person is good. Chuyu looked at the departing Kinyu and spoke. He actually gave you all the tokens. The right to this token is not small. Seeing the token is equivalent to meeting Kinyu himself, and it is extremely useful in the official China country. At this time, Yi Hanayu's figure also appeared beside Mu Yun with Kinyu's departure. Although Mu Yun trusted Kinyu, Kyoto was not just Kinyu. And it is not Kinyu who is really in power now. So Mu Yun just let Chuyu teleport outside Kyoto City. Kinyu naturally knew Mu Yun's thoughts, so he did not keep Mu Yun too much. He also knew that in Kyoto, there were a group of old guys who were very scheming in the city. If they have ghosts in their hearts, Mu Yun is really difficult to get out in Kyoto. You know a lot. Mu Yun smiled and put the token in his arms. When the time comes, this token will definitely be of great use. Hard work, you run with me. Mu Yun thanked Yi Hanayu. Today's Yi Hanayu has the combat power of the King Realm, even in Kyoto. I'm afraid that no one can match it. Mu Yun also took Yi Hanayu into the small world just in case. What does this mean? After all, I don't want you to be hurt a little either. If something happens to you, there is no point in the existence of the Dragon Court. Yi Hanayu waved her hand. What she said was sincere. No matter what kind of energy she has awakened now, no matter how many civilizations she is, Mu Yun's place in her heart is irreplaceable. What you said is really touching. Mu Yun tried hard to squeeze out 2 tears. Chuyu, let's prepare to return. After all, in the last days, there are too many accidents. The current insect tide, I don't know if it will appear again. Mu Yun looked at Chuyu, who was almost recovered, and spoke. Today's Chuyu, with the breakthrough of the realm, the energy consumed by each transfer is getting less and less. Moreover, there were not many people this time, so the recovery was also very fast. Good. Chuyu also couldn't stand the 2 people who were numb, rolled his eyes, and disappeared directly in place with the 2. At this time, as the 3 people teleported back to the Dragon Court, a few old guys came to the outside of Kyoto City breathlessly. Kinyu, why don't you leave them as guests? An old guy frowned and spoke to Kinyu behind him. I understand your careful thinking, but it is my right to keep Mu Yun as a guest. Kinyu snorted coldly. If it weren't for the problem of face he had to follow, he definitely wouldn't have followed this group of old guys outside Kyoto. Mind? Aren't we for the official development of China? The other old guy heard Kinyu's words and blew his beard and glared. Okay, I'll bring you here too. It's nothing. I'll go first. Kinyu did not pay attention to them, but turned and left. Wait a minute, you can rush back so quickly. Is it because the Dragon Court has a special teleportation method, or is it a special teleportation power? At this time, another middle-aged man stopped Kinyu. We are fast, can't we? Kinyu turned around and spoke coldly. Also, you are older than me, and I respect you. But please also distinguish between big and small kings. You are not qualified to speak to me in such a tone. Kinyu turned around and looked at a few old guys coldly. Young Master Kin, we are just, alas. An old guy looked at Kinyu, who had changed his mood and changed his tone. Although Kinyu was much younger than them, Kinyu's prestige far exceeded them. Moreover, they did serve the Kin family, not Kinyu serving them. If Mu Yun stays here, I'm afraid he won't be able to go back in a short time. Although my contact time with Mu Yun is extremely short, this is also my only confidant so far. Please put away your careful thoughts. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358. Kinyu said, and returned to Kyoto. At this time, Mu Yun also arrived in the Dragon Court. City defense team, repair the cracks in the city. Now the earthquake has passed, and the aftermath of the earthquake is almost over. The chance of the Zerg appearing again in Dragon Court City is very small. City Lord. Suddenly, there was a sound like a flood outside the Dragon Court. What's wrong? Mu Yun frowned. Just wanted to rest for a while, but he didn't expect that. Just after returning to the Dragon Court, something happened. Insect tide, here it is again. And this time, the number is extremely large. It's like a sudden gushing ocean tide. Dense. A psychic person does not have a dense phobia, and now he is also straight. Go. Mu Yun soared into the air and stood above the head of the city. Sure enough, Mu Yun looked at the Zerg below, and the number was amazing. I already knew that I would send Kinyu's kid back later. Kinyu's fire system attack had a miraculous effect on these zergs. Everyone, don't panic. This insect tide is just a large number, but the realm is not good. The soldiers are fine but not many, and the zerg are the same, just looking at bluffing. Muyon spoke loudly. Boom. Suddenly, thunder erupted between heaven and earth, directly knocking out a gap in the attacking zerg. Zishu. Muyon turned around and saw Zishu who had broken through. Now that I have a breakthrough, I just want to find something to practice. These zergs came just right. Zishu directly rushed into the zerg, controlled thousands of thunders, and killed the densely packed zerg. Kill. With the addition of Zishu, everyone's morale was also raised. Boom. Just in less than an hour, this insect tide was completely wiped out. City Lord, you are really right. These zergs are just a number of bluffs. Several psychic beings breathed a sigh of relief. That's why the Dragon Court will continue to provide you with crystal nuclei to help you grow. Only when you are strong can you deal with all the accidents in the last days. Muyon solemnly said to all the superpowers. Yes. Thank you Lord City Lord for your hard work. All the powerful people bowed to Muyon one after another. Okay, don't send me away. Muyon quickly waved his hand and turned to leave. Zishu, have you succeeded in your advancement? It's really fast. Zishu has only been a few days since his breakthrough. You know, this is a breakthrough in the realm. There are too many excellent people around you. I don't want to pull you back. Zishu snorted coldly and spoke. Their excellence is their business, and I only have you in my heart. Muyon smiled. Zishu was also jealous. I still don't know you men. Zishu glanced at Muyon. Tonight, I want to educate you well. Zishu dragged Muyon and spoke. I've cleaned it all for you tonight, and it's up to you to hook up with other little girls. One sleepless night, the second day. Muyon still looked alive, but his back hurt or not, only he knew it. City Lord. This is the official list of materials given by China. Muyon had just walked out of the room when he happened to meet Sister Lan who came to discuss HMM. Muyon just glanced at it roughly and then returned it to Sister Lan. City Lord, the materials needed by the official of the Chinese kingdom are a bit huge. Sister Lan sighed. Of course, she also wanted to provide more materials to the official of the Huago. After all, it would not be given in vain, but also in the form of transactions. However, the materials that the Chinese government needs today are too large. Sister Lan was worried that the Dragon Court would be affected in the future. In addition, now Langting and several forces have signed trade cooperation. This made Sister Lan feel even more worried. Give them to them. Muyon didn't even think about it and spoke directly. However, the materials needed by other forces need to be provided by halving. Muyon pondered for a moment and spoke. However, even so, the materials in our Dragon Court now. Although the materials spent will be less, it still gives Sister Lan great mental pressure. Just listen to me. Muyon waved her hand, signaling that Sister Lan didn't have to worry. Okay, I see. Since Muyon said this, then Sister Lan believed Muyon 100%. If this is the case, the materials of the Dragon Court need to be replenished again. After Sister Lan left, Muyon spoke. Now the materials of the small world can be harvested again. However, it is a bit unusual for the Chinese official to need such a huge amount of materials. Although the official population of the Chinese country is large, but they also have their own base, it is impossible to need such a huge amount of materials for the first time. Although the Chinese official lacks materials, it is also because of too many people. But the reason they can hold out for so long is because they have their own base. Now it's only the first transaction, so you shouldn't need so many supplies. After all, both sides will have their own considerations. It seems that the official Huajiuo wants to test the Dragon Court. Muyon sneered. He knew that Kinyu should not do such a thing. The only ones who did this kind of thing were the old men of the official Hua state. This time, give them all. Put a long line to catch big fish. He wants to see what kind of thinking and attitude the Chinese official has. 3 days passed. Huajiuo official also received supplies from the Dragon Court. The Dragon Court actually met our material needs at one time. Several old men looked at the many supplies and frowned. They didn't expect that the Dragon Court would be so generous. I have a way. One of the old men spoke. Now they can't test the depth of the dragon court, making them extremely unwilling. Let's just say that our materials have been robbed by other forces. What do you think? This old man actually came up with such a problem that does not grow a brain. Such a reason, Yun will definitely doubt us. We can see how the materials of the dragon court are now through other forces. After all, among other forces, we have our eyeliner. The old man's proposal was unanimously rejected. Good. This method is still very good, and it will not arouse a suspicion of the dragon court. Half a day later. Pray master, only half of the materials of the Feng family have arrived. Pray sir, only half of the materials of the Li family have arrived. Prayer. As the continuous prayer voice sounded, it also made these old guys have a bottom in their hearts. It seems that the dragon court has also been emptied of its family, and now it can only provide half of the materials to other forces. An old guy breathed a sigh of relief and spoke. Would you like to hear what you're saying? Although each force only obtained half of the materials, how huge these materials added up. Chapter 359. These materials add up to 3 times our supplies. You know, the materials we want this time are already extremely large. An old man next to him spoke. Now, 4 times such a huge amount of materials are jointly distributed to various forces. This dragon court, it is simply. Now that our official Huajiuo, I'm afraid we can't come up with so many materials at once. The few old men who came to this conclusion all frowned. In the dragon court. Oh, is there such a thing? Yun was in the core area, listening to the report of his subordinates. Huajiuo official, this is playing with fire. Yun has the Phoenix Tower and the heavenly earthly world, as well as the hand left before. Yun valued Chen Feng's cleverness, and led by Chen Feng, he created a new information network. And Chen Feng did not disappoint Yun, and with Yun's full support, the information network infiltrated into various forces at an extremely fast speed. Moreover, according to Chen Feng's training, the powerful people in the information intelligence network quickly mixed into the high level. The news of Huajiuo's official inquiry into the materials of the Dragon Court also reached Yun's ears at an extremely fast speed from various forces. This also made Yun extremely angry. Yun can be described as benevolent and righteous to the official of the Chinese state. Even made free aid to Shenanji as supernatural materials. But this official of the Chinese country turned out to be so excessive, sending people to test their own details. Hanayu, Zishu, are you interested in going to Kyoto? Yun turned around, looked at the two and asked. Okay. Zishu directly promised to come down. He can't watch his man take other women. Good. Hanayu also nodded. But what are you going to Kyoto for? Although there are a few honest guys in Kyoto, I advise you not to go in the last days. Hanayu opened her mouth to remind. Today's Yun, with a special identity, entering Kyoto is equivalent to entering the Long Ten Tigers Den. This time, I must go. Yun shook his head. He had already made up his mind. Just the 3 of us? Zishu asked. There are only 3 people entering Kyoto, so it's a bit dangerous. Chuyu. Yun spoke again. Okay, that's enough now. Looking at Chuyu who appeared, Yun nodded. Or go to Kyoto. Yun said to Chuyu. Back and forth, it's really troublesome. When Chuyu heard Yun's words, he rolled his eyes a little impatiently. She hasn't been in a good mood since her sister left. Okay, when I come back, I'll give you a big gift. Yun opened his mouth to coax the lolly in front of him. Go. Chuyu was also enough, urging the energy and disappearing directly in place. What man? This time, the location where they teleported directly reached Kyoto Castle. I'm going to the appointment of Prince Qin, Yun said, and directly took the token that Qin gave him in his hand. This is King Gong's army token. A supernatural above the city head frowned after seeing clearly what was in Yun's hand. Today, Qin is in Kyoto and has not given any instructions about military tokens. That proves that this military token was given to Yun by Qin. And this army token, see the order like a person. How? Your family King Gongzi, give me a useless waste? Yun looked at the city head that did not move, and his tone was slightly mocking. Open the city gates. The leader of Kyoto City gritted his teeth and trembled as he spoke. You know, in the last days, opening the city gate is equivalent to taking off the last piece of clothing. Without the highest order, the gates are not allowed to be opened. Otherwise, it is a capital offense. But the military token in Mu-Yun's hand, he couldn't turn a blind eye. What's going on? As the city gate opened, an icy voice came. Who let you open the gates? Opening the gates of a city without permission is a capital offense. Do you know it? This voice became more and more anxious, and if something went wrong, I was afraid that his head would not be saved. General, look at his hand. It is King Gong's army token. We have long received instructions, and seeing orders is like seeing people. This leading powerhouse is also very aggrieved. Why did this kind of thing happen when he was about to change his defense? King Gong's army token. The general who couldn't help but scold just now was also confused at this time. This kind of thing, he can't fail to respond for a while. Open the city gate slowly. The general said to the leader. You please show young Master Qin. A general is a general, and soon an idea came up. Yes. In this way, there was a scene of drama. The speed at which the gates open is not as fast as the ants climb. After 2 minutes, a slit was just opened. Yes. Yes. After receiving Kinu's instructions, the general completely relaxed. You did a good job this time, otherwise you really offended the distinguished guests. After the call, the general patted the leader on the shoulder and breathed a sigh of relief. Open the door and grind it. Speed to open the door for your guests. The general strode forward, urging the gates to open quickly. Matt, no wonder you can become a general. The speed of this face change is really fast. The leader behind him pouted. It wasn't you who just asked you to slow down and open the city gate. Distinguished guest, I really can't stop. This city gate is old, and it is really difficult to open. The general greeted Mu-Yun with a smile. Mu-Yun, why did you come back so quickly? Qin came to the city gate and personally greeted him. You didn't just take a batch of supplies. I came to visit big customers. Mu-Yun greeted Qin and spoke coldly. Go to my house and say. Mu-Yun was just a word, and Qin sensed that something was wrong. Can a busy person like him have free time to come to see big customers? And this big customer doesn't sound like a good name. It's a pity that I couldn't leave Brother Mu to come in and sit down just now. But Brother Mu went and turned back this time, and I felt uneasy again. After Qin and Mu-Yun came to the house, they spoke. I decided to break off the deal with the Qin family. But as I said before, the materials for free assistance to the Beast-Tide Guardians will be delivered on time every month. Mu-Yun did not answer, but directly broke off the transaction with the official Huajiuo. What? Brother Mu, what happened? Mu-Yun didn't look like a capricious person at all. Now that Mu-Yun can't visit in person and be so angry, something big must have happened. Moreover, this matter is definitely related to the official Chinese state. Zishu. Mu-Yun gently spoke, and Bei Zishu handed a list to Mu-Yun. Take a look. Mu-Yun smoothly handed the list into Kinu's hands. What? Why is your list different from the one I received? Chapter 360. After Qin read the contents of the list, he immediately fried the pan. The number on the list was simply several times more than what he had received. There was already anger in Kinu's eyes. This group of brainless things is simply ruining the future of Ahuaksha. Qin roared angrily. Brother Mu, don't worry, I must find out what happened and give you a satisfactory answer. He then troubled Brother Qin as soon as possible. After Mu-Yun finished speaking, he turned around and left. Qin looked at Mu-Yun's departing back and took a deep breath. This matter has too much impact. Let's ask Grandpa what he thinks. After leaving the Qin family, Mu-Yun took Yi Hanyu and the three of them to wander around Kyoto. Brother-in-law, how long are we going to stay here? This place is also too dilapidated. It's better for us to have a dragon court. Chuyu complained while walking. You girl, we are not here to play. Mu-Yun reached out and pinched Chuyu's face. Okay, Chuyu stuck out his tongue and followed the team. On the street, the dress of the four people contrasted sharply with the people around them. People who can keep their clothes neat and red in the last days are not something that strong people can do. How precious water is now. You can't drink it yourself, let alone use it for bathing and washing clothes. Mu-yun, why are we here in Kyoto? Yi Hanyu asked curiously. One is to look at the official attitude. There is something I want to find the other party to cooperate. There is another one. I want to investigate the news about the holy tree. Holy tree. The X3 trio exclaimed. That's right. There should be a sacred tree near Kyoto. Mu-yun said with certainty. After all, in his previous life, he found the sacred tree near Kyoto and ate the key fruit before rising. However, by that time, earthquakes were frequent, and the landscape of Blue Star had changed dramatically. You need to search exactly where you need to know. But if we find it, will the officials let us take it away? Baisishu asked worriedly. Nope. Mu-yun smiled. But as long as there are enough chips, don't believe the other party, and don't let go. That's true, too. Yi Hanyu nodded. Half a day later, a few of the people who were wandering around were taken to the Kyoto operational headquarters by an army. Somewhere in a conference room, Mu-yun sat on the chair with Erlang's legs up, holding a cup of tea in his hand, tasting it slowly. And all the important officials sitting in front of him are important officials of the Chinese state, so to speak, people who stomp their feet and tremble for the whole world. A group of heavily armed soldiers stood at the door. As long as Mu-yun made a slight change, that group of soldiers would definitely shoot without hesitation. If you have something to say, I'll just leave if it's okay. Mu-yun looked at everyone indifferently, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing an evil taste. Presumptuous. Seeing this, the official beside Qin Shianming was immediately furious. Mu-yun glanced at him contemptuously. This uncle, your status is too low. You better be careful when you speak. Boy, what do you mean by this? Am I not qualified to talk to you? Zhao Wenbin, male, 54 years old, currently serving as a frontline, work, combat unit, general commander, swing, and the level of special energy is currently 8th. Mu-yun said the details of the other party with a word, and he seemed very calm. You investigated me? Hearing Mu-yun say his identity, Zhao Wenbin's expression suddenly became much gloomy. Who let you still use Skynet to transmit intelligence? Don't you know that this is the founder of Skynet behind me? Pointing to Yi Hanyu behind him, Mu-yun continued to drink tea calmly. Since Yi Hanyu woke up, the intelligence network of the Dragon Court was established again, and almost the secrets of the human world were at a glance. Old Zhao, that's enough. Zhao Wenbin still wanted to say something, but was pulled by Qin Shianming. The old man glanced at Yi Hanyu, who was bored and buttoned his nails, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Then he looked at Mu-yun and spoke lightly. City Lord Mu, I apologize to you on behalf of the official about the previous incident. The troublemaker has been detained by me, and there will definitely not be such a situation in the future. Putting down the teacup, Mu-yun sat up straight. Since Old Master Qin has spoken, then I naturally believe it. Mu City Lord is young and promising. It's really gratifying. The old man chuckled twice and did not continue the topic. Instead, he turned his head to look at Yi Hanyu on the side, with a kind smile on his face. Girl, what happened before happened too suddenly, otherwise. It's all gone. Old Master Qin doesn't have to mind. Yi Hanyu raised her hand to stop him from continuing. She was not interested in entanglement in the current matter. Her current identity is different from the past, and her vision has also risen from the national level to the civilization level. In the past, those things were like a family, and they were not worth thinking about at all. Hearing such an answer, a trace of regret flashed in Qin Shianming's eyes. It's all Yang Yi's dog thing. Otherwise such talents should belong to the official. Yang Yi and Zhang Wenke, two leaders, had previously been sent to the coastline of China to deal with the tide, but the insect tide struck, and they have not yet returned. However, for Yang Yi, he may not want to come back. Okay, it's all gone. Then the old man won't say much. The old man nodded. Yi Hanyu smiled and stopped talking. The atmosphere fell silent again. Old man Qin, now the situation is tense and time is urgent. Let's go straight to the topic. Mu-yun suddenly spoke, breaking the silence. Haha, it's still young people who have courage. Then I won't spare the bend. For the previous material transaction list, I have people here to redraw a copy. Mu City Lord, please take a look first. Saying that, Mu-yun beckoned the assistant beside him to hand him a contract. Yun flipped through the terms on the contract, and his eyebrows became deeper and deeper. Are you sure you're not kidding? Xiaoyao said and laughed. How dare I joke about this? Yun put the file down. Are you so sure that I have so many supplies on hand? The materials on the list are enough for the entire Chinese survivors for a month, and the amount is exaggerated. But the price given by the other party was also very reasonable, and it was a price that Yun would never refuse. Spirit Crystal Vein. Chapter 361. The production of food in the small world also requires energy. The conservation of mass is the law of the universe, and no one can avoid it. The reason why Yun now has such abundant material reserves in his hands is closely related to the 9 dragon veins in the small world. Sufficient aura can produce so many materials. And during this time, the small world was actually expanding, gradually extending into the void. A big reason for this is that the concentration of spiritual energy has increased. He was bound to get the spirit crystal vein. Little friend, what do you think of this price? This time, Qin Shianming became an old god, and the victory was in hand. Damn, he pulled back around. Fair price and very reasonable. Yun was silent. But well, Yun deliberately paused. But what? This amount is too large. Mew can't afford it. Qin Shianming's face froze, but he still remained calm. I didn't let Xiaoyao take out so many materials at once. We can take our time. The old man is so sure. I will definitely be able to take it. Yun's mouth outlined a hint of ridicule. After the end of the world, I have seen a lot of strange things, and I believe that Xiaoyao should have this strength. The transaction volume of the Dragon Court in the past few days is not small, but Xiaoyao accepts all the orders, which shows that the family has plenty of money. Qin Shianming looked at him with a smile. Although it was not clear how Yun's food was grown, Qin Shianming knew that the abilities of the supernatural were strange. Maybe it's some kind of planting ability. When Yun heard this, his brows frowned. Secretly scolded old fox in his heart. In that case, then I agree. What do you say about the vein? Yun changed the topic. Haha, Xiaoyao is really cheerful. Since this is the case, that vein will naturally be handed over. Don't say it so grandly. It was bought by Lao Tzu. Yun unceremoniously went back. Soon, the staff on the side called up the location of the vein. Looking at the location marked on the map, Yun's entire face suddenly darkened. The location is located at the junction of the Shenangjia Beast Clan and the Terran Front. Not only that, the location of the veins is also very clever. 80% of them are in the territory of the beast race. This is what you call the spirit crystal vein? Yun looked at the map and asked coldly. It's a pit, daddy. At first glance, the official has no ability to mine, so push this problem on his head, and then take advantage of the opportunity. Ahem, that's right. Qin Shianming coughed twice to hide his embarrassment. Qin Yu also lowered his head a little, embarrassed. In that case, let's cancel our deal. I don't want it. Yun stood up directly, dropped this sentence coldly, and prepared to leave without turning his head. It's just that this pace is a little slow. Little friend, don't be impulsive. You sit down first. Let's talk. Yun's footsteps just stopped abruptly and turned his head to look at the other party. He saw Qin Shianming looking at him with a fawning smile, and a treacherous look flashed under his eyes. Isn't it the territory of the Beast Clan? That's my daughter-in-law's territory. What happened to mining in the past? The family status is a dead end. Yun just wanted to sit on the ground and start the price. After all, the matter of the holy tree had not yet been resolved. What is there to talk about? You guys are clearly trying to pit me. No way. Yun snorted coldly and did it again without a trace. That vein was discovered recently. At first I didn't know the left and right of this ore, but after research, I knew that the spiritual energy in it could actually replace the crystal nucleus. Later, we named him Lingxi. Xiao Yu came back this time to report the matter. Speaking of this, Qin Yu's old face turned red. Before he said that he had changed shifts, the lie was debunked, and it was a little embarrassing. However, although this mining is a little more difficult, our official can fully cooperate with you to attract the attention of the other party. The Beast Emperor's side is still unknown. We have every chance to mine it quietly, but the risk is only 100 million points greater. Hearing this, Mu Yun almost spurted blood. It is worthy of being an official, and this is better said than sung. But, it's just a few 100 million points. Old man, don't spare the circle. I can continue the agreement, but you must promise me a few conditions. Oh. I also ask Xiaoyao for advice. First, I want you to have the technology to make the alien enhancer. Second, I look at a tree around Kyoto, and I will take it with me when I turn back. Third, I want 5,000 wood-based energy fruits and 5,000 water-based energy fruits. Fourth. Hearing these conditions, Qin Shianming was immediately dumbfounded. This number is also too greedy, right? Let's not talk about the paranormal enhancer 5,000 wood-based magical fruits. 5,000 water system fruits. These things are all treasures, and they don't have enough of them themselves. As for what kind of tree it is, it doesn't matter. Little friend, it's just a vein, but it can't withstand so many things. Qin Shianming felt a pain in his flesh, and felt like he was going to bleed heavily. Then you say, how much can you give me? Mu Yun asked with a smile, a sly look on his face. I can't do the Lord's thing with the alien enhancer. I have to ask, when I turn back. I will give you up to 1,000 fruits of the water and wood systems, and there is no need to talk about more. As for what tree is not a tree, it's up to you. Okay, then I'll reluctantly agree. Mu Yun pretended to be a little lost. Since the old man is so atmospheric, I can handle the mining vein by myself, and I don't have to bother you. Mu Yun hammered the final word, clapped the board and decided, and the corners of his mouth almost turned up to the sky. Qin Shianming's heart was dripping blood. I always feel that this wave has lost money. However, for the sake of those supplies, he still endured. Inside the hotel. Brother-in-law, you agreed so simply? That old man was uneasy and kind. When he saw it, that vein was obviously a hot potato. He wanted to lose it to late, in case he was discovered by the Beast Clan. What if the opposite side rushed out with the Beast Tide? Zishu, you say? Bei Zishu gave her a blank look. Even you can see the clue. How could Mu Yun not see it? Huh? What do you mean by this? Look down on this girl's intelligence. It's true that, when you have a man, you forget your friends. Every good thing for women. Bei Zishu couldn't help it. This girl was so fierce that she even scolded herself. Wordlessly shook his head, too lazy to wrestle with her. On the contrary, Yi Hanyu and Mu Yun's faces were ancient, and they didn't know what they were thinking. Chuyu, you go back to the Dragon Court, take Xianai to the Divine Dragon Rack, and then teleport back after the incident. Chuyu's teleportation ability can only be teleported to the places she has been, and she has been here before the end of Kyoto, so she can teleport directly. But she hasn't been to Shinanjia, so it's better to step on it first for safety. With Xianai's 9 power, the two can fly directly over, or they will arrive in a few days. Even if he encountered danger, Chuyu could directly teleport and escape. Alas, it's time to work again. After receiving the order, Chuyu reluctantly returned to the Dragon Court and took Xianai and flew towards Shinanjia. Don't be idle these days. Go to the vicinity of Kyoto to find news of the sacred tree. After Chuyu left, Mu Yunai ordered Yi Hanyu and Bei Zishu. We all have something to do, so what are you doing? Yi Hanyu pouted. Naturally, it is to prepare the materials that the government wants. Mu Yun shrugged deservedly. With that, he entered the small world. Chapter 362. Nowadays, there is enough spiritual energy in the small world, and there is no problem with materials. The only thing Mu Yun is worried about now is that there are so many materials, and how to carry them is a problem. After all, the small world cannot be exposed. Qin Shianming, this old fellow, hang my appetite. I can't be too positive. Mu Yun was preparing supplies in the small world and suddenly stopped. The current situation in Kyoto, Mu Yun just saw clearly. Qin Shianming made a list. These materials, they really need desperately, and it is obtained at the fastest speed. Since Qin Shianming was hanging his appetite, let him wait a little longer. What's wrong? Mu Yun, who had just left the small world, saw Yi Hanyu's current appearance as a great enemy. After all, just before entering the small world by himself, he let Yi Hanyu and Bei Zishu go to find the holy tree. Now the two are in the hotel, and it seems that they have not left. In Kyoto, there are temptations. Yi Hanai did not frown and said, someone tempted. Could it be that the supplies are not wanted? When Mu Yun heard this, he flew directly into the air. In Kyoto, it's not just the Qin family. It's not just the Chinese official. Just like the Dragon Court, not only the people of the Dragon Court. If the Dragon Court does one thing, there will definitely be other forces to obstruct it. Yi Hanai said. Qin Shianming is really not easy. Hearing Mu Yun here, he withdrew the momentum on his body. Since it was a matter in people's own homes, there was no need to clean up the portal for Qin Shianming. After all, this kind of thing is thankless. In the last days, people's hearts are complicated. Don't provoke a flea in vain. Why don't you prepare supplies? Yi Hanai asked. Let's go find a tree first. Mu Yun smiled and did not say what he thought. And Yi Hanai also understands Mu Yun, and half of them are bad eyes. Good. Yi Hanai and Bei Zishu followed behind Mu Yun. They also wanted to know what a sacred tree that could be freely placed on the side of the road looked like. It can be so long without being discovered by anyone. At this time, Qin Shianming's room was inside. What did Mu Yun say just now? A tree. Something is wrong. What Mu Yun, this kid wants, will definitely not be simple. Come, check all the trees on both sides of the Kyoto road to see what is wrong. Qin Shianming carefully recalled their conversation with Mu Yun at this time and found that something was wrong. Yes. With Qin Shianming's orders, many people immediately began to conduct a comprehensive inventory of the trees in Kyoto. However, since the sacred tree can be in the most conspicuous position in Kyoto for so long without being discovered by anyone, there must be a difference. Otherwise, so many people coming and going would have been discovered long ago. We have to quickly find the holy tree, and when Qin Shianming, this old guy, reacts, it will be difficult to start. Mu Yun quickened his pace and looked for the location of the sacred tree. Are you so sure it's this one? Seeing Mu Yun stop in front of a tree, looking like a treasure, Yi Hanai frowned. The tree looks so clean that it doesn't even grow leaves. Mu Yun is not crazy. Think of the holy tree crazy? After all, now she can use the energy of the King realm to explore this tree. She couldn't spot any difference at all. Up. Mu Yun didn't bother to explain, directly controlling the absolute realm and uprooting the holy tree. Go. Mu Yun did not directly put the sacred tree into the small world. After all, in Kyoto today, there are too many pairs of eyes looking at him. Mu Yun, who returned to the hotel, quickly took the holy tree and entered the small world. Gee, this is a baby. These people in Kyoto don't have good eyes. After Mu Yun planted the holy tree into the small world, he mocked the Qin family by the way. We've always been here? Looking at Mu Yun lying down, Yi Hanai couldn't help but ask. At the very least, wait for Chuyu to come back. Mu Yun nodded. Although this Kyoto is not as good as the Dragon Court, this place is also different from the Dragon Court. Going shopping? Mu Yun looked at Bei Zishu and asked. Good. Bei Zishu nodded directly. Shopping? What's there to do here? Dilapidated. Yi Hanai pouted and said. This Kyoto, she really can't look at it. This is the end of the world. Besides, you can't compare any force with the Dragon Court. Can that compare? Mu Yun said helplessly. What is your identity and status? What kind of capabilities do you have? Can the created Dragon Court be compared with other forces? The Qin family can't either. Mu Yun, who just wanted to leave the hotel, heard Kinyu's voice. What's wrong? Mu Yun greeted Kinyu. He asked. How long will it take for our supplies to arrive? Kinyu was straight to the point, without a little bit of mincing. In order to facilitate the transportation of materials, we have specially sent a commissioner for you. Kinyu said, and pointed to the powerful person behind him. City Lord Mu. The psychic greeted forward. My name is Li Yang. It's an honor to meet you. The psychic opened his mouth to introduce himself. She's the one I told you about, a psychic with the ability to transfer. Kinyu helped introduce on the side. Is this willing to take it out? Mu Yun just smiled. But Miss Li is very beautiful and has time to come to the Dragon Court 40. Mu Yun turned his head and looked at Li Yang. In every way, it was excellent. Don't bother me when the time comes. Li Yang chuckled and nodded. Ahem. Base issue coughed twice in the rear. Ahem. Kinyu also coughed twice in front of him. You too. What's wrong? Sick. A piece sick. Mu-Yun asked, a little puzzled. Yi Hanai, who directly rolled her eyes when she heard Mu-Yun's words. You provoke other women in front of your own women. Then in front of the young master of the Kin family, he directly dug people. Can the two of them not cough? Look, when are we going to the Dragon Court and bringing the supplies? Kinyu looked at Mu-Yun and asked. In 2 days. Mu-Yun spoke straightforwardly. Good. Kinyu nodded. In his opinion, with so many materials, even if Mu-Yun's Dragon Court was rich in materials, it would take 2 days to prepare. He couldn't have imagined that Mu-Yun could take out the supplies on the spot. Then these 2 days, just let Li Yang take you around Kyoto. If you have any needs, you can tell Li Yang that Kyoto will try to meet the needs of the three. Kinyu was also sensible. What about you? Mu-Yun looked at Kinyu and blinked. I'll follow. Chapter 363. You followed? You follow. What do you say this bunch does? Mu-Yun rolled his eyes. This kid. Net nonsense. Brother Mu-Yun, to be honest, I'm not very at ease with you. Kinyu scratched his head, still not turning around. Okay. Just because of your cheerfulness, I want to visit more meetings today. When Mu-Yun heard Kinyu's words, he couldn't help but laugh. He said he didn't worry about himself. Are you afraid that you will abduct Li Yang? Go. Mu-Yun walked in front and did not need the guides of Li Yang and Kinyu at all. At this time, Qin Xianming's room. What has been poached? Qin Xianming listened to the report of his subordinates and stood up directly. Maid, this kid is so fast. It seems that this tree definitely has a big problem. Otherwise, it is not worth a Dragon Court City Lord to spend such a big effort. Could it be the holy tree? Qin Xianming really had a good brain, and after pondering for a while, he thought of the answer. Not likely. According to the photos taken by his subordinates, this location is so conspicuous. If it was a holy tree, it would not have been possible for so long, and no trace had been found. With Qin Xianming's deep denial, his whole person became light. See, it's still good to lie to yourself. At this time, Mu-Yun was already standing in an alley. Mu-Yun, have you been to Kyoto before? Kinyu looked at Mu-Yun, who was walking quickly, and couldn't help but ask. Mu-Yun was so familiar with the road, it didn't look like he was here for the first time. Nope. Mu-Yun shook his head. He also knew the meaning of Kinyu's other words. That is whether you have investigated Kyoto or not. You know this place. Kinyu pointed ahead and asked again. No, hurt. Mu-Yun nodded this time. I have been to Kyoto in my previous life, and I know that this alley is an underground trading place. This place is where the supernatural exchange supplies or precious items in their hands. Here, you can hide your identity, as long as the thing is true enough. After all, in the last days, no one cares if you are really real or not. And there are usually materials needed by the Qin family or the military here, so this place is not prohibited. Just now, young Master Qin said that in Kyoto, my needs, Kyoto will try to meet them. You can't go back. Mu-Yun looked at Kinyu and smiled. You just said this about yourself. If you don't slaughter you can't say it. In a word. Looking at Mu-Yun with such a smile, Kinyu had a bad premonition. Mu-Yun is a good person, and he is willing to call Mu-Yun his only confidant. But Mu-Yun, there are too few good eyes. That's good. Mu-Yun nodded in satisfaction. You too. Thank you Qin Gangzi soon. Mu-Yun turned around and looked at Beizishu and Yi Hanai and said, thank you young Master Qin. Beizishu and Yi Hanai are extremely cooperative. Yes. Kinyu nodded, and this sentence brought 2 more. Mu-Yun is really not a good person. Let's go. Let's go. Mu-Yun led the way ahead. This thing. Mu-Yun had just entered the underground trading market when he was attracted by an item. Fake. Yi Hanai in the rear spoke directly. Things are fake, but boxes that put things in them are good things. Of course, Mu-Yun knew that the thing was fake. How to redeem this thing? It is generally bartered here, and there are not many crystal nuclei needed. 1006th order crystal nuclei. When this psychic saw that someone wanted something of his own, he did not raise his head and directly spoke. This set? Mu-Yun pointed to the item and asked. Yes, one set. The psychic nodded and spoke. No. Mu-Yun directly threw out 1006th order crystal nuclei. Crystal nucleus, Mu-Yun Hoas. There was no need for Kinyu to help take it out at all. After all, the scene where he casually threw a bunch of crystal nuclei on the ground, Kinyu had seen it. There is no need to cry poor because of crystal nuclei. Guest officer atmosphere. Seeing Mu-Yun so happy, this supernatural finally raised his head. Mu-Yun did not answer and directly took the thing in his hand. Officer, this box is not for sale. Seeing Mu-Yun put away the box, this powerful person directly grabbed Mu-Yun's palm. Oh. Mu-Yun raised his head and looked directly at the powerful person in front of him. And Mu-Yun's gaze also made this supernatural person can't help but snort. This supernatural can feel that Mu-Yun is very strong. However, this box is his housekeeper treasure. Just pointing to this box, pet people. How can Mu-Yun take away his old bottom? Trick me. Mu-Yun couldn't help but sneer. Only you pit someone else's share. Never others pit your own share. Officer, this box is really not for sale. These are 2 sets of items. At this time, the supernatural is still hard-mouthed. Young Masterkin, look. Now there are 5 people, all wearing cloaks. This is the rule of the underground trading market, and it is the rule of all black markets. Give the box to Mu-Gangzi together, and then get out of the underground trading market. This kind of place is not allowed to exist as a liar. Kinyu's brows furrowed and he spoke. Boss, black market. There are too many fake things sold. This kind of thing, originally bought and left the hand. The real and false are all carried by themselves. This supernatural could not know Kinyu's identity, so his mouth was still hard. There is no problem with fake things. After all, this item is fake, but you use the box to deceive people. The problem is very big. I'm angry. Mu-Yun said coldly. I know you're angry, but please recognize it too. At this time, the supernatural was still very hard. Are you in the middle of the black market? Can't you get out? Mu-Yun sneered. Underground trading market, because there are indeed precious items, so the Kin family has made special regulations that it is not allowed to sell in the underground trading market. This is also the reason why this supernatural is so rampant. HMPH. Mu-Yun's momentum unfolded, and he directly held the box in his hand. You dare to rob in the black market? This powerful person shouted loudly, attracting several powerful people to watch. And the powerful people here know this guy's business, and now they have encountered hard stubble, and they are happy to see it. After all, several of them have suffered this loss. Who are you? At this point, the administrator of the black market arrives. Get out. Kinyu spoke coldly. Yes. Because the black market is a special existence, the administrator here is specially sent by the Kin family. This administrator has received Kinyu's kindness. So even with just one word, he instantly understood Kinyu's identity. The masters of the people have let themselves roll. What are they still doing here? You. Looking at the administrator who left directly, this supernatural instantly lost his temper. Chapter 364. Because the person who can make the administrator obediently get out with just one word is not in existence, that he can provoke at all. He has been abducted in the black market for so long, and he can still be dashing and comfortable, which proves that his eyes are still good. But now that the box was forcibly taken away by Mu-Yun, he still had a pain in his flesh. The people around who were watching the excitement looked at the managers who left directly. All of them were stunned. The managers are specially sent by the Kin family, and the power they possess is even stronger. Those who usually make trouble here, whether they are strong in their own strength or those who have some power in their own family, are all obeyed by him. The mid-8th order powers far surpassed most of the powers. Now, just so obedient and obediently left. The identity of the person in front of you. The more they thought about it, the more they knew how terrifying the identity of Mu-Yun and his group was. Although they all wore cloaks, their identities were already on the horizon at this time. And the supernatural who just wanted to find the field afterwards has already run away with a bucket. This thing. At this time, Yi Hanai's footsteps stopped in front of a little girl. I bought it. How to redeem it? Yi Hanai asked. Before my mother dies, give this thing to me. Say this thing. Don't need money, but raise me. The little girl raised her head with an innocent face. How old are you? Yi Hanyu frowned and asked. 6 years old. The little girl's chest was pressed against her back with hunger, but she still raised her head strongly. It is also fortunate that the caretaker has not lost his humanity and will throw a little food to the little girl every day. How long have you been here? Yi Hanyu was quite curious. This little girl had not been abducted so far. It's been 6 days. The little girl answered truthfully. 6 days? So no one sees what you have. Hearing the little girl's words, Yi Hanyu asked with some disbelief. Although the little girl is a drag oil bottle, the supernatural with a ghost can take her out and rob her while she is hot. Several people saw the hairpin in my hand, but they were all blasted away by the administrator uncle. The little girl shook her head and spoke. This administrator is not bad. After hearing the little girl's answer, Yi Hanyu nodded. Would you like to come with me? Yi Hanyu looked at the little girl and asked. Yes. The little girl nodded. So painful? Yi Hanyu smiled. Because I think my sister is a good person. The little girl is innocent and kind, and she is also very accurate in looking at people. I'll help my sister bring the hairpin. The little girl stood on a high place and put on the hairpin for Yi Hanyu. Thank you. As the hairpin was brought by the little girl, the energy around Yi Hanyu's body, as if finding an exit, quickly gathered towards Yi Hanyu. My sister is so beautiful. The little girl looked at Yi Hanyu and said sincerely, Mu Yun, take some food out. Yi Hanyu directly stretched out her hand to Mu Yun. You're going too far. You accept the things, and the meal is still with me. Mu Yun saw at a glance how extraordinary the hairpin was. Hurry up. Yi Hanyu glanced at Mu Yun and spoke again. Okay. Mu Yun glanced at the poor girl and finally took out the food. Sister, did you give it to me? When the little girl saw the food in Mu Yun's hand, her eyes straightened. You know, she hasn't had a full meal for too long. Even if the caretaker gave her food, it was just enough to keep her alive. Little girl doesn't know that this is another way for the administrator to protect her. For you. Yi Hanyu took the food in Mu Yun's hand and put it in the little girl's hand. Mu Yun, I helped you collect a general. Yi Hanyu snorted coldly and spoke. General? Mu Yun naturally knew who Yi Hanyu was talking about. He glanced at the little girl with her chest pressed against her back, a little suspicious. Look inside her. Yi Hanyu said. Mu Yun's domain unfolded, and he instantly felt the difference in the little girl. She turned out. There is innate energy in the body, and every inch of her body seems to have been tempered by energy. Innate psychic. Mu Yun became extremely excited. However, these words, he did not say. Because Kinyu is still here. When you return to the Dragon Court, Uncle will give you something good to eat. Mu Yun said to the little girl. Thank you, Uncle. Hearing that there was still food, the little girl was extremely happy. After all, for a 6 or 7-year-old child, what could be happier than being able to eat? This little girl, my kin family can help adopt. After all, you also said just now, your needs, the kin family will meet them. At this time, Kinyu also saw the difference in the little girl. It's not okay for you to rob people directly in front of you. Yi Hanyu asked directly. No need, this kind of burden. Let's leave it to us in the Dragon Court. Mu Yun also smiled and waved his hand. This innate cultivation genius is a treasure. What's your name? Yi Hanyu squatted down and asked the little girl. Linga. The little girl replied obediently. Good name. Yi Hanyu nodded. Let's go. Yi Hanyu took the little girl and continued to advance in the black market. Here, there are even snacks for sale. Mu Yun, who smelled the fragrance, frowned. In the apocalypse, snacks are hard to see. Mu Yun thought that this kind of thing had disappeared. After all, food is too scarce now. It's made by some beasts. Kinyu opened his mouth to explain on the side. After Mu Yun heard the explanation, he nodded. If he said so, he would understand. But suddenly, Mu Yun felt a vibration of the Dragon Court sword. This is? Following the induction, Mu Yun raised his head and saw a square seal. This square seal is exactly the same as the jade seal of the country in the TV series before. Dragon sword, dragon robe, this square seal, is it a set? Mu Yun's mind quickly turned and came to a conclusion. Does this square seal need to be exchanged or purchased using crystal nuclei? Mu Yun picked up the square seal and asked. Barter is needed. Seeing that someone asked Fang Yin, this powerful person quickly got up. Because until now, he has not figured out what this square seal does. I only know that this square seal is extremely defensive. His current 7th order fire system power, no matter what means, he could not leave any traces on this square seal. But that's no use. The square seal cannot be used as a defensive tool because it is too small. There is simply no way to cover body parts. Therefore, he just regarded the square seal as an ornament with strong defense and casually placed it on the desk. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365. Fang Yin is extremely beautiful, but in the last days, beauty is of no use at all. Now seeing that someone asked Fang Yin, he should only have a big grievance sent to the door. Fang Yin was not easy to value this thing, so he opened his mouth and said, barter. In this way, he can also obtain greater benefits. After all, in the last days, the items that can be obtained are all good things. At this time, no one will bother to take a piece of garbage waste out of the house. Even today's beautiful women, the requirements for clothing have been reduced to a minimum. What can make people stick to life now, or good things, is what is useful. Barter? Do you have anything you want to exchange? As soon as Mu Yun looked at this guy, he knew that he didn't know the value of this item. He didn't even know what the square seal was. That's why after making such a request, Fang Yin didn't introduce it at all. Young Masterkin, what do you have? Can it be exchanged? After Mu Yun and the supernatural finished speaking, they looked at Kinyu again and asked, you? Kinyu was speechless, but they were all covered by cloaks. Mu Yun couldn't see it, of course. He didn't care. I want 3 magical fruits. This powerful person looked at Yaoxia, gritted his teeth, and spoke. Do you think this ornament is worth 3 magical fruits? Mu Yun frowned and spoke coldly. Although Mu Yun knew the value of Fang Yin, this powerful person did not know. Mu Yun doesn't care whose money he spends. He can't sleep anyway without haggling. 5. This supernatural saw that Mu Yun did not leave and actually increased the price again. I'm wearing a cloak and I want this square seal's move. So obvious. Mu Yun was strange. He said so. This powerful person still dared to sit on the ground and raise the price. He must have seen that he was bound to get the other party's seal. Those who can survive in the last days are human spirits. Plus in this black market, which one is not a top shrewd? Just now, this supernatural also saw Kinyu bring back the black market administrator with just one sentence, and he knew that Mu Yun and his group were not simple. Definitely not a lack of money winner. To him, Kinyu frowned and said to Li Yang, wait a minute. Looking at the generous Kinyu, Mu Yun instead intervened to stop it. One last time, it's just a magical fruit. Mu Yun raised his head and looked at this superpower. Not for sale. The supernatural saw that Kinyu meant to pay for it, and at this time he suddenly lacked 5 times, and he was definitely unwilling. I originally wanted to take it back to my wife as a gift. After all, it looks quite delicate. But since you are so rare for your baby, I'm not forced to be difficult. Mu Yun took Kinyu and his group, turned around and left. The person with different abilities was in the rear, looking at Mu Yun, who turned around and left. His heart was pounding. After all, a magical fruit far exceeded his original expectations. Just now, he was thinking, give it a try to turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. Now the duck to the mouth, just fly away. Wait a minute. It's still 3. The mighty shouted loudly from the rear, and Mu Yun didn't even turn his head, playing this set with Laoti's edu. You're still tender. That's it. Just one. Just one. The supernatural wants to see that Mu Yun has left the black market immediately, and he is instantly anxious. After all, others would not even give him half of the magical fruit. This thing, in the eyes of others, is an ornament, and has no value at all. Brush. Before Kinyu could speak, Kinyu directly threw out a magical fruit. You take it. You take it. This powerful person respectfully handed over the Fang Yin into Kinyu's hands. Kinyu, on the other hand, was directly thrown to Mu Yun. Okay, you have given me insight today. Kinyu couldn't help but speak. Where has he, a son of the Kin family, experienced such a thing as haggling? Now seeing Mu Yun, who is like fire and pure love, I only feel admiration. Follow me, you have a lot to learn. Mu Yun smiled, a special energy fruit, in exchange for a treasure. He was very excited. Brush. Mu Yun directly threw Fang Yin into the small world. Boom. With the entry of the square seal, the entire small world shook slightly. The dragon court sword and dragon robe were also instantly activated, emitting golden light. Keep strolling. Mu Yun sensed the changes in the small world, although he was anxious to go back to the hotel to see what the situation was. But this time, he finally caught a rich boy for a treat, and he was reluctant to leave like this. In addition, Mu Yun could sense that the dragon seal entering the small world was definitely a benefit. Therefore, Mu Yun can still calm down and slaughter Kinyu once. Gongzi, it's not early, you see. Li Yang Yang followed behind and reminded. Brother Mu Yun, it's time for me to sweep the tomb, you see. Hearing Li Yang Yang's words, Kinyu also quickly spoke. Such a thrifty girl must marry home and live a good life. Mu Yun looked over Kinyu and looked at Li Yang Yang and said, Young Master Mu, you. Li Yang Yang blushed directly when he heard Mu Yun's words. But fortunately, the cloak is covered and no one can see it. You guys go quickly, Mu Yun said. Tomorrow morning, I will visit young Master Kin again. Mu Yun continued to speak. Mad. Kinyu couldn't help but scold secretly in his heart. Mu Yun, this kid, is too thick-skinned. It's so obvious that I show myself. Bye bye. Mu Yun waved his hand, and the humans and animals smiled harmlessly. At this time, Mu Yun was also a little anxious to return to the hotel. He could feel that the small world was changing at an extremely fast pace. Mu Yun didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Therefore, Mu Yun did not expose Kinyu's lies. Go. Mu Yun did not stop for a moment and quickly returned to the hotel. In a small world. This. Mu Yun looked at everything in the small world and opened his mouth incredulously. In just such a short period of time, the small world has changed very significantly. This is? In the small world, several endless mountains have appeared. There are also several rivers that run endlessly. This will bring great benefits to the small world, and at the same time it will be a rare source of pure water. The flow of water nourishes the whole earth. And the emergence of mountains has made the whole small world have different climates. This means that the small world is more diverse. This mountain, how is it so similar? Dragon. Mu Yun looked at the endless mountains and couldn't help but speak. Dragon Pulse. Mu Yun thought of the dragon vein and couldn't help but blurt out. This turned out to be a dragon vein. This represents Mu Yun's small world, completely stable. A magical fruit, in exchange for such a big treasure, is really happy. Valuable things should also be followed by valuable people. In the hands of the wrong person, it is only worth a magical fruit. I just don't know what kind of relationship these things have with the Great Zaya civilization. Chapter 366. Buzz. Dragon court swords, dragon robes, dragon seals hovered in the air. With 3 items circling the small world, the whole small world changes a lot. Mu Yun could obviously feel that the small world seemed to have been completed by something. And the small world is still slowly changing. Mu Yun looked at the grain that had naturally matured and began to harvest. This grain harvest did not use the energy of the spiritual vein at all. It is all about the changes brought about by the emergence of dragon veins and rivers. Of course, the subsequent food and all kinds of things that need to be grown will still consume energy. However, the energy consumed will definitely be weakened a lot. Mu Yun nodded with satisfaction and withdrew from the small world. I really had several surprises when I came to Kyoto this time. Mu Yun couldn't help but smile. In this trip, not to mention the fruit of supernatural energy, even if it is a holy tree, they have obtained one. Now, he has obtained the dragon seal, which has brought great benefits to the small world. In that case, the materials given to the Kin family should also be accelerated. Mu Yun is in a good mood now, and the materials that were originally postponed to the Kin family were also advanced by him. After one night, after Mu Yun's use of spiritual veins to ripen, the materials have been prepared. It's dawn. Mu Yun looked at the sky that had glowed white and smiled. He remembers that there is another place worth visiting in Kyoto. That's a place men love to go. Young Master Qin. Mu Yun arrived at Kinyu's mansion early and used the realm to transmit sound. So early. Kinyu was used to going to bed early and getting up early, and now even the bedding was neatly arranged. But looking at the freshly lit sky, he couldn't help but crush his back teeth. Mu Yun is simply deceiving people. I heard that there is a good place in Kyoto, a place that we men love to go. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu and smiled, and this smile made Kinyu's heart uneasy. I'm not that kind of person. Mu Ganzi already has his issue girl now, and is around. You still. Kinyu shook his head desperately. Hurry up. Mu Yun was not accustomed to Kinyu. Directly grabbed his shoulders and directly soared into the air. Young Master Mu, Although Kinyu struggled, he only meant it. Soon, the two arrived at their destination. The place you said men love to come to. This is this place. Looking at the Taoist hall in front, Kinyu was stunned for a moment. How else? What place do you think? Before I awakened my powers, I revered this kind of place. This Kyoto Taoist hall is very famous. Mu Yun glanced at Kinyu inexplicably and spoke. In this kind of place, why not bring Bei's issue girl and Yi Hanayu girl? Kinyu snorted and asked. I see you are very disappointed, young Master Qin. Mu Yun looked at Kinyu with bad intentions and spoke. You want to relax? Come to my dragon court. I have a good place there. Mu Yun smiled. That's it. I'm different from you. Kinyu quickly waved his hand. He was full of righteousness, but he didn't want to be damaged by Mu Yun. Crunch. With the arrival of Mu Yun and Kinyu, the door of the Daoist hall opened on its own. You see, it's not famous. Mu Yun looked at the Dao door that opened by himself and nodded. You see, that's called professionalism. Kinyu meets the old gentleman. Kinyu had seen the owner of the Taoist hall, and as soon as he entered the Taoist hall, he began to salute. Young Master Qin. The owner of the Taoist hall, an old Taoist priest, greeted him. Excuse me. Mu Yun also clasped his hands together and spoke. This is Muan City Lord. The old Taoist priest recognized Mu Yun's identity with just one glance. When you sit in the Taoist hall, you know what is going on in the world. Mu Yun nodded. This old Taoist priest is not ordinary. He had heard about the deeds of the old Taoist priest in his previous life, so he would pay a special visit this time. There's an item I'd like you to help see, Mu Yun said, and then gave the old Taoist priest a glance at the dragon robe, dragon sword and the dragon seal picture he had just obtained. This is. The old Taoist priest who saw the picture instantly grew his eyes. These are the three treasures of heaven and earth. City Lord Mu, how did you get it? The old Taoist priest couldn't help but ask. Heaven and earth people. Mu Yun frowned when he heard the old Taoist priest's explanation. That's it. I believe that City Lord Mu has also felt the magic of the three treasures, and I don't need to explain too much. Looking at Mu Yun, who did not explain, the old Taoist priest also changed the topic. I only obtained this dragon seal, which I exchanged for yesterday in the black market. Mu Yun did not say his truth. This dragon seal was obtained in the black market? Hearing Mu Yun's words, the old Taoist priest only felt a pang of grievance. He also frequented the black market, but he had not seen the dragon seal once. Mu Yun had just arrived in Kyoto and obtained this dragon seal. What is it exchanged for? The old Taoist priest was now aroused by the dragon seal and kept asking. A fruit of supernatural energy. Mu Yun answered truthfully. A magical fruit. City Lord Mu is really lucky. The old Taoist priest who heard these words took a deep breath again. A magical fruit can obtain such a treasure? What's the use? I also ask seniors for guidance. Kinyu, who was behind Mu Yun, could hear that the dragon seal he exchanged yesterday was definitely not simple. So he asked curiously. I have only seen in ancient books that it is said that emperors in ancient times could withstand 3 fatal attacks by using dragon vein key. It's just one of the effects, but I don't know if it's true or not. The old Taoist priest spoke. What? Hearing the old Taoist's opening, Kinyu frowned. This ability alone can save your life 3 times. That's just one of those abilities. This time, there is one more thing that needs your fulfillment. Mu-Yun interrupted the old Taoist priest and the rest of his ability he would visit specifically for advice. The reason why he brought Kinyu this time was because he wanted to obtain an item in the hands of the old Taoist. With Kinyu, just let out blood, he can save a little. Moreover, Kinyu's face in Kyoto is still very big. Although City Lord Mu said it is minor that Leo Deo can help City Lord Mu. Seeing Mu-Yun interrupting him, the old Taoist priest also did not have the ability to continue to explain the dragon seal. I want the incense altar of your dojo. Mu-Yun spoke directly. Incense? The old Taoist priest frowned. He didn't understand why Mu-Yun wanted the incense altar. He burned incense day by day for decades, and he did not find anything different about this altar of incense, which is just a mortal thing. This altar of incense, I burn incense every day, is my spiritual pillar. Lord Mu City now wants the altar of incense. Poor Deo. The old Taoist priest knew that Mu-Yun's eyes were vicious, and now what Mu-Yun wanted, he wanted to study well. Chapter 367. Okay then. Mu-Yun could only nod helplessly. Let's go. Mu-Yun sighed and said to Kinyu. And Kinyu didn't have any stay, and after Mu-Yun said to leave, he directly left the Taoist hall with Mu-Yun. And with Mu-Yun and Kinyu leaving, the old Taoist priest was like obtaining a treasure, observing the incense altar inside and out. But he still didn't find any magic use. But since something that can make the Dragon Court City Lord worry, how can it be an ordinary thing? As this thought arose, he brought the altar back to his room. Brother Mu, go to the black market with me today, and also show me if there are any good things. Although Kinyu did not continue to inquire about Fang Yin, his heart was still itchy. After all, the black market is in Kyoto, and if there are good things in it, it is a pity that you miss it like this. Then you first give 50 magical fruits as a reward. Mu-Yun nodded and directly spoke. Only 10. Several black lines appeared on Kinyu's brain, giving Mu-Yun a few days together, and he found that his mentality was becoming more and more unstable. Then I'll reluctantly take you around. Mu-Yun smiled. It's just 10. No matter how small the mosquito legs are, they are meat. As the two of them walked around all morning, Mu-Yun also helped Kinyu pick out a few good things. And Mu-Yun also obtained a high-tech weapon again. Farewell. Seeing that it was already lunchtime, Mu-Yun politely said goodbye to Kinyu. Now, he needs to plan something again. Just now, he took Kinyu into the Taoist hall, on the one hand, to relax the vigilance of the old Taoist. On the other hand, he is also tempting the details of the old Taoist. And the incense altar, he said, was just a pretense. This altar of incense has absolutely no effect. It is just a mortal thing. Because Mu-Yun knew that, as long as it was mentioned by himself, the old Taoist priest would be extra attentive. Mu-Yun only diverted the old Taoist's attention. Yi Hanyu. After Mu-Yun entered the hotel, he summoned Yi Hanyu. What's wrong? Looking at Mu-Yun, who disappeared early in the morning, Yi Hanyu knew that Mu-Yun must not have done anything good. Can you take something under the nose of a mid-ninth order psychic being? Mu-Yun asked Yi Hanyu maliciously. What? Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Yi Hanyu was not surprised. After all, she understood Mu-Yun's disposition. This kind of thing, speaking out of Mu-Yun's mouth, is not worth surprising. A futon. Mu-Yun spoke. This futon, in a previous life he had heard of. It can absorb energy and turn into a substantial shield, and if the energy is enough, it can even withstand the attacks of the King Realm. But now the capabilities of the futon have not been discovered. It's just a futon. Why don't you get it yourself? Are you Mu-Yun in the serious channel? Have you never had a chance in your life? My identity is known to the old Taoist priest. As long as it is something I say, he will prevaricate with various reasons. So when I visited in the morning, I turned my attention to the incense altar of his hall. The current old Taoist priest is probably studying with the incense altar, and he has no intention of seeing whether the futons in his Taoist hall are more or less. Mu-Yun is also helpless. He wants to take the right channel, but people are unwilling. You're really witty. Hearing Mu-Yun's words, Yi Hanyu couldn't help but roll her eyes. But in the Taoist temple, there are so many futons. How do I know which one you want? Yi Hanyu asked. So, you can take the futon under his nose without alarming the old Taoist? When Mu-Yun heard Yi Hanyu's inquiry, he knew that Yi Hanyu definitely had this ability. In that case, we can steal all the futons in his hall. Can you see? Mu-Yun looked at Yi Hanyu and blinked. Mu-Yun had only heard of it in his previous life, and had never seen this futon. So now Mu-Yun doesn't know what characteristics the futon has. Yi Hanyu really didn't expect that Mu-Yun was shameless to this point. A Taoist hall, what is it? If you steal all the futons of others? You can't. Mu-Yun glanced at Yi Hanyu and used the agitation method. Don't provoke me, I don't eat this set. Yi Hanyu saw Mu-Yun's thoughts, rolled her eyes again and spoke. I can help you take out all the futons in the Taoist hall, but you have to promise me one thing. Yi Hanyu agreed to Mu-Yun's statement. Miss Yi, please say, as long as it is something that I Mu-Yun can do, it must be completed clearly. But say it in advance, I don't sell my art. Mu-Yun smiled and said, what the hell are you talking about? Accompany me somewhere. Yi Hanyu really didn't know what Mu-Yun was thinking in her mind every day. Sometimes it looks shrewd and decisive, sometimes it's a pile of paste. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Looking at Mu-Yun, who did not directly agree to come down, Yi Hanyu spoke. That's nature. Mu-Yun also nodded, agreeing to Yi Hanyu's statement. Let's go. Seeing that Mu-Yun agreed to his request, Yi Hanyu directly prepared to leave. Now, looking at Yi Hanyu who stood up, Mu-Yun was stunned for a moment. Yi Hanyu is anxious, but this is too urgent. When else would it be? Yi Hanyu glanced at Mu-Yun and asked with some doubt. Why don't you wait until night? At night, when the night is dark and windy, that's a good time to steal. Now is the brightest time, and the streets are full of people. Just show me the way. I go now. Naturally I have the certainty of going now. Yi Hanyu did not wait, and walked out of the hotel. But. Anyway, the night is long and dreamy. Since Yi Hanyu is completely sure now, then what else is he talking about? This is the place. When he was about to reach the Taoist hall, Mu-Yun stopped. Are you sure it's all the futons in the hall? Yi Hanyu confirmed to Mu-Yun again, before making a move. It's all futons. Mu-Yun nodded. Don't let go of a futon. Good. Yi Hanyu nodded. But, Yi Hanyu's figure disappeared in place. This woman is just different. Just do it. It's much sharper than Mu-Yun do. After all, if Mu-Yun was allowed to make a move, he would have to wait until night. At this time, the old Taoist priest was still in his room, carefully observing the incense altar that Mu-Yun wanted to obtain. He didn't notice that all the futons in his hall were floating. Chapter 368. In the dojo. This altar of incense is no different. The old Taoist priest frowned and had been studying the incense altar for a whole day. No, if I hadn't read the ancient books, I believe I wouldn't have known the magic of this thing. It's just a useless decoration. I believe that this incense altar valued by Mu-Yun is also the same. The old Taoist priest did not believe in evil, and observed the incense altar over and over again. No matter what the method was, he had used it. Now he almost unloaded the incense altar, but he didn't dare. At this time, outside the dojo. Let's go. I saw Yi Hanyu holding 3 futons in her hand and said, why are there only 3? In a dojo, there are only 3 futons? Yi Hanyu didn't look like a hidden person at all. The others are a bunch of weeds, and these 3, it is indeed a little different, so I only took these 3. Yi Hanyu rolled her eyes and spoke. Go. Mu-Yun heard Yi Hanyu's words and nodded. He believed that Yi Hanyu's gaze would definitely not cause any problems. The two hurried back to the hotel. Now, the sky is still bright. This feeling is really exciting. Mu-Yun's heart is pounding. After all, that old Taoist priest also possessed the power of the middle of the ninth order. Isn't this one? Mu-Yun picked up a futon and injected energy, but this futon did not react at all. But this futon was made of ice jade, so it was brought back by Yi Hanyu. Neither is this. Mu-Yun injected energy into the next futon again, and found that the futon had not changed. And this futon is made of sandalwood, so it was also brought over by Yi Hanyu. This futon has a bit of a roll. Watching Mu-Yun throw this sandalwood futon aside, Yi Hanyu spoke. Can you absorb part of the energy of heaven and earth, and use it for yourself? Mu-Yun asked. As soon as he got this sandalwood futon, he sensed the ability of this futon. However, absorbing such little energy did not have any effect on Mu Yun. After all, for Mu Yun, who could directly plunge into the energy crystal nucleus, the energy absorbed by the sandalwood futon was simply a drop in the sea. What the hell are you looking for? Looking at Mu Yun, who threw 2 futons in a row, Yi Hanyu asked. Now there is 1 futon left. If this is not what Mu Yun needs, it will not be so easy to steal the futon next time he enters. I listened to Mu Yun's words long ago and took them all out. Mu Yun picked up the last futon and injected energy. But Mu Yun's energy was quickly absorbed by the futon. It is said that this futon has not been found to be able to urge defense capabilities because this futon is passive defense. Only when the opponent attacks, this futon will touch the defense function on its own. This is why the old Taoist priest has owned the futon for so long, but still does not know the function of this futon. But Mu Yun continued to inject energy, and this futon did not change at all. Then Mu Yun sat on the futon. Attack me. Mu Yun said to Yi Hanyu. Attack you? Can you carry it? Yi Hanyu looked at Mu Yun and asked seriously. Mu Yun can resist the attacks of the 10th order, but Mu Yun may not be able to carry the attack energy of his king. Hurry. Mu Yun didn't talk nonsense. Half of his energy was injected into the futon. With such a huge amount of energy of his own, coupled with the bonus of the futon, he should be able to withstand a strong attack. With all your strength. Mu Yun spoke again. Okay, satisfy you. Yi Hanyu nodded and directly attacked. Boom. Gravity fell with a bang. Mu Yun only felt that the heavens and the earth collapsed. Looking at Mu Yun, who was on the futon and did not move, Yi Hanyu was also extremely surprised. Although he did not listen to Mu Yun's words and used a full force blow, this power was also very strong. Mu Yun actually resisted so lightly. This futon, defensive? At this time, Yi Hanyu also reacted. However, I originally thought that this futon absorbed energy and would passively release a defensive shield or the like when attacked. But now, this futon is more advanced than I thought. He is completely using energy to consume each other with the opponent's attack until the opponent's attack energy is completely cancelled. Mu Yun couldn't help nodding. This futon will definitely be one of its own hull cards in the future. Thank you. Mu Yun smiled and included the futon and the small world. And these two. Mu Yun also included sandalwood futons and ice jade futons in the small world. Can't leave a trace, can it? Moreover, the futon of sandalwood is just for the freshly harvested linger. At this time, in the dojo, the incense altar in Mu Yun's mouth had been completely demolished by the old Taoist. This altar of incense is simply a pile of scrap copper and rotten iron. Except for burning incense all the time, there is a little aroma, and there is nothing special at all. Broken. Fooled. The old Taoist priest who reacted stood up directly. Mu Yun, this kid, will definitely not deceive me for no reason. The old Taoist priest who stood up quickly inspected the Taoist hall. My futon. Looking at the main entrance, the place where the futon was originally placed is now empty, and the old Taoist priest is directly anxious. Mu Yun. The old Taoist priest understood that he had fallen for the plan to move the tiger away from the mountain. However, he has always been in this hall, and the hall has been closed. Mu Yun's early 9th order of the supernatural energy rank. It is impossible to take away the futon under his nose without knowing it. It must be Mu Yun. The old Taoist priest took a deep breath. Except for Mu Yun, it was impossible for anyone to do such a thing. These 3 futons are good things. It is worth Mu Yun to deceive himself, and the things that God unknowingly steals are good things. Made. The old Taoist priest was instantly anxious. He knew that, since Mu Yun could take away his futon without knowing it, he would definitely not be able to find any clues. And according to the investigation, Mu Yun's character will definitely splash him with dirty water at that time. He couldn't stand it. I can only find old friends. The old Taoist priest took a deep breath and stood up. True Void Deo Chief, why are you here? At this time, among the Qin family, Qin Ming looked at the old Taoist priest who entered and stood up. Old friend, I have something to ask for. The old Taoist priest said with a handful of snot and tears. How? In our kin family's territory, there are still people who dare to provoke you? Seeing such a poor old Taoist, Qin Ming frowned and asked. Chapter 369. This is the territory of the Qin family, and everything in Kyoto is Qin Ming's final say. The identity of this old Taoist priest is not simple. It is not for nothing that he can be in the Taoist hall and rest at ease. All this is supported by the Qin family. Now that the old Taoist priest suddenly arrived, he was so pitiful, he was simply hitting Qin Ming's face. My Taoist hall was originally self-cultivation. You have also been there a few times, although you, Qin Ming, as the head of the Qin family, did not believe in anything, only believed in himself, believed in the official Hua kingdom. But the old Taoist's ability is indeed amazing, so he did not worship. However, as an old friend, Qin Ming had been there several times. This old Taoist priest did indeed do a few practical things. Just say what happened to you now. Qin Ming spoke directly, and the meaning was extremely obvious. Anything you come across, I'll help you settle it. In my hall, I have recruited thieves. The old Taoist priest could hear the meaning of Qin Ming's words, and he also said it straight to the point. Recruit thieves. In Kyoto, there are people who dare to. Someone dares to enter the True Void Dojo to steal things? That's why I came. Please help. The old Taoist priest nodded and spoke, still looking pitiful. You have a clue? Qin Ming looked at such an old Taoist priest, and knew that he must have a clue. I just have a concept in my mind, but I don't know whether to say it or not. The old Taoist priest was also very clever, and did not speak directly. There is no Qin family land in Kyoto. If there is anything, you can just say. Qin Ming waved his hand and spoke. Don't worry about anyone. Don't worry about any forces. As long as you are in Kyoto, the Qin family will definitely support you. It's Mu Yun. The old Taoist priest was heartbroken and spoke directly. What? Mu Yun? Hearing the name in the mouth of the old Taoist, even Qin Ming was stunned for a moment. If it is someone else, no matter what family or what force, he can directly come to the door. But Mu Yun is different. Now Mu Yun still controls a huge part of the materials he needs. Moreover, Mu Yun's ability, he will definitely need long-term cooperation in the future. You just said you lost something? Qin Ming, who was still domineering just now, suddenly began to pretend to be crazy and stupid. You. The old Taoist priest was also a human spirit, and he could still see Qin Ming's changes at a glance. 3 futons. The old Taoist priest repeated anyway. 3 futons. It may be that Mu Yun just wants to meditate. After all, they are 3 people this time. Qin Ming actually helped Mu Yun explain. After all, he didn't want to offend Mu Yun now. On the one hand, the Dragon Court is now one of the most powerful. On the other hand, he also needs to cooperate with the Dragon Court for a long time to ensure that his materials are full. Patriarchin, you don't know something. The old Taoist priest said Mu Yun's trick on him. Moreover, even the matter of the dragon seal was clearly said. This. Qin Ming hesitated after hearing this. After all, in the last days, profit comes first. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. This is the situation in the last days. Let Mu Yun deceive me and wait. Use the trick of dividing the tiger away from the mountain, and then steal something. It is absolutely impossible to be a mortal thing. After all, the dragon seal I just mentioned, it is not a mortal thing. If the Qin family can obtain this item, and give it to Qin Gongzi, it is something that can save lives 3 times. The old Taoist priest looked at Qin Ming, who had been shaken, and spoke again. Grandpa. Suddenly, Kinyu's voice came. Because Kinyu is the eldest grandson, coupled with the permission of Qin Ming of the Qin family, in Kyoto, no matter what kind of meeting or occasion, Qin Ming can enter directly. Why did you get in? Qin Ming pretended to be unhappy. Mu Yun also gave me several treasures. In the black market, I have obtained no less good things than Mu Yun. And it was all selected by Mu Yun who helped me. Qin Ming said directly. Young Master Qin, you. When Kinyu and Mu Yun entered the Dao Hall, he could see that the relationship between Kinyu and Mu Yun was extraordinary. But now that Kinyu actually helped Mu Yun speak, the old Taoist priest couldn't bear it. What's wrong? Kinyu looked at the old Taoist. Let's talk, you junior, can't interject. The old Taoist priest looked at Kinyu, who did not give himself face at all, and also completely tore his face. Coming. Eviction. Hearing the old Taoist's words, Kinyu spoke directly. Yes. Kinyu's power in Kyoto is beyond imagination. Kinyu just said a word, and then several people rushed forward directly and stopped the old Taoist. Kinyu, wait a minute. Qin Shianming said at this time. If he directly chased the guest like this, he was also a little embarrassed, but he also knew that this was Kinyu paving the steps. Because Kinyu also knew that he couldn't offend Mu Yun before the materials were obtained now. Now the superpowers of Shinanjia, as well as many superpowers in Kyoto, are waiting for this material. I'll go find Mu Yun with you. Qin Shianming stood up. Grandpa, this matter, you don't need to go. I'll accompany the True Void Dao chief. Kinyu spoke again, taking the lead. This, alright. Qin Shianming sighed and spoke. In any case, Kinyu is his step, and if Kinyu is ineffective, he can also explain. But if he and Mu Yun were enemies, the entire Qin family's materials would disappear. This, the old Taoist priest looked up at Qin Shianming with a pitiful expression. Now Kinyu's favoritism towards Mu Yun is so deep, and if he goes with himself, he has become an outsider. Patriarch Qin, you. The old Taoist priest took a deep breath. He fought for Mu Yun to take away his treasure. Let's go. Kinyu patted the back of the old Taoist priest and spoke. Let's go. The old Taoist priest saw that he was no longer able to return to the sky, and he could only accept his fate. At this time, Mu Yun hotel room. Knock knock. Mu Yun's room door was knocked. Hello. Mu Yun gently opened the door. Kinyu. Taoist. Why are you here? Hurry up. Please sit down. Mu Yun quickly invited the two to take a seat. I don't know why the two of you came. Mu Yun asked knowingly. He knew that the identity of the old Taoist priest was not simple, and he thought that this time it would be Qin Shianming who personally brought someone over. Brother Mu, after you leave with me, can you go to the Taoist hall again? Kinyu opened his mouth and asked, and the old Taoist priest on the side also gritted his teeth. You interrogate people, is this how you interrogate? No, I fell asleep when I came back. Mu Yun spoke innocently. Chapter 371. Why didn't Qin Shianming know some of the things that the old Taoist priest did? But because of the ancestral friendship, there are some things that he turned a blind eye to. Now, through Mu Yun's shot, it is also a good choice to deter the old Taoist. That's why he appears at the most critical moment, not at the beginning. Mu Yun, 3 futons, I'll give you 1, and the remaining 2, or a turn. When Qin Shianming took the old Taoist priest back to the Taoist hall, he turned his head and said. He knew that Mu Yun took away 3 futons, and only 1 futon was useful. Now let Mu Yun give him 2 back. He can not only have the steps, but also hug Mu Yun to save face. Okay, since you said so, whether I took it or not, I will definitely give you face. Mu Yun nodded. Since it was Qin Shianming who was so sensible, he also went down the slope to get off the donkey. And at this time, the old Taoist priest's face was like dead ashes. Originally, his plan was to defeat Mu Yun directly, and then the rest is easy to say. He was very confident in his own mid-9th order realm power. Moreover, what he thought in his heart was that he was facing Mu Yun, who was a little lower than himself. But he never expected that Mu Yun could not only defeat him, but also directly kill him in seconds. His domain, when it comes to Mu Yun's domain, is simply winter snow meets warm sun. Not a level at all. True Void Dao Master, what Mu Yun said just now, I believe there are not a few truths. After all, I have been in contact with him, and he is not very real. Qin Shianming patted the old Taoist priest's shoulder, and opened his mouth to comfort. Although all the words will not come out of nowhere, but I'm still willing to believe in the True Void Dao. Qin Shianming spoke again, but this time, it was mainly knocking. Patriarch Qin, the True Void Dao elder naturally heard Qin Shianming's consciousness, and he wanted to say nothing. Since the True Void Dao Master has painstakingly studied and indulged in the Dao, let's practice in this Dao hall in the future. I fully support the True Void Taoist. Qin Shianming looked at everything in the Taoist hall and spoke indifferently. This was his ultimate goal. He wanted the old Taoist priest to be placed under house arrest in the Taoist hall. The old Taoist priest also has a lot of eyeliner now. The last time Mu Yun was spied on in the hotel, it was the old Taoist. Now it was just based on the conflict with Mu Yun that he was directly trapped in this hall. Patriarchin, I recently felt a breakthrough in the Dao, and I'm thinking of going on a tour. The old Daoist priest could hear the meaning of Qin Shianming's words, but how could he be willing to be trapped in this hall? It's too dangerous outside. All kinds of things you need to travel. I will send someone to make a video for you. It's a good way to kill two birds with one stone. Qin Shianming said. Qin Shianming's words are simply amazing. Watching the video can be regarded as a trip. That's it. Qin Shianming didn't give the old Taoist a chance to refute again, and turned around directly. In the future, 3 meals a day, I will let a special nutritionist make a match for you, and I will definitely recuperate you. Qin Shianming said as he closed the door. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Mu Yun's voice came. Mu Yun, why are you here? Looking at Mu Yun who suddenly appeared in front of the door of the Taoist hall, Qin Shianming frowned. After all, he just wanted to send someone to block the dojo now. Just now you said to let me return 2 futons, although the loss of this futon has nothing to do with me, so I should have donated it. Mu Yun held the 2 futons in his hands. Good. Qin Shianming didn't want to say anything more to Mu Yun now. Just throw it in. Someone will clean it up. Qin Shianming pointed to the door of the Taoist hall and spoke. That's good. Mu Yun smiled, opened the door of the Taoist hall, and threw 2 futons directly in. This kid. Qin Shianming sighed, and turned to leave. Mu Yun also returned to the hotel. You really sent him the remaining 2 futons? Wouldn't that be? Looking at Mu Yun who returned, Yi Hanai who asked. Doesn't that prove that I really stole it? Mu Yun smiled. Look. Mu Yun took out the 2 futons, and the face was harmless to humans and animals. Looking at the 2 futons, Yi Hanai also understood the reason. It's not that you don't know that I, a skillful person, casually knitted 2 futons, and sent them to the Taoist hall. The casualness in Mu Yun's mouth is really casual. At this time, the Qin family. Mu Yun, this kid, it's true. He asked Mu Yun to return the 2 futons. Mu Yun directly moved to straw stacks. If it weren't for his age now, he couldn't help but curse. However, this can also be regarded as a step given by Mu Yun. After all, this straw stack is not incompatible with futons. Grandpa, I'm up today. Kinyu's voice came. He asked Kinyu to return to Shinangjia well, and Kinyu was also extremely sharp. This time, spiritual vein, you must be optimistic. Qin Shianming nodded, although he was reluctant to be a grandson. But there are many things that others do, and he is not assured. Okay, I see. Kinyu nodded. He originally wanted to wait for Mu Yun to hand over all the materials to him. He got up again, and went to Shinangjia. But since his grandfather said it, he said sail immediately. By the way, you have this thing. Qin Shianming said, and took out a bracelet. I'm not a girl. Kinyu looked at the exquisite bracelet, and waved his hand. Take it, it will definitely work. Qin Shianming shoehorned it to Kinyu. Then I'll go. Kinyu didn't know why his grandfather was so anxious to let himself go back this time. You know, every time Qin Shianming was most reluctant to let his eldest grandson leave. This time, he took the initiative to let Kinyu leave. There must be something. After Mu Yun bowed, he exited the room. Jua, don't blame Grandpa for letting you leave Kyoto so quickly. You have to believe that Grandpa will never harm you. Looking at the departing Kinyu, Qin Shianming was reluctant to talk to himself. Kinyu left. After Mu Yun heard the news, his brows frowned. After all, Kinyu was here, and no matter what he did, it was much more convenient. Kinyu is really good. Give the supplies to Qin Shianming. It's almost time for me to leave. Mu Yun counted the days and spoke. At this time, in the hotel, Chuyu's figure appeared. Found it? Mu Yun saw Chuyu returning, and immediately greeted him. According to the location you gave, it has been found. Chuyu nodded and spoke. Teleport once. How do you consume energy? Mu Yun looked at Chuyu, who had just returned, and asked. After all, this distance is not close. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372. You need to rest and recharge your energy. Chuyu said. In the past 2 days and 2 nights of rushing, plus when he came back, he first teleported the dome back to the Dragon Court, and now Chuyu consumed a lot. Let's go back to the Dragon Court now. Muyun nodded and spoke. Now I don't even have the energy to return to the Dragon Court. Chuyu wrinkled his nose and said a little unhappily. Exhausted for so long, it doesn't make people stop at all. Just rest. Muyun shook his head with a smile. Walk back. Chuyu asked. How so? Now, in addition to Chuyu, Muyun also has a supernatural with teleportation ability. That was Li Yangyang, who Qin Shanming specially sent to transport materials for himself this time. Li Yangyang. Muyun directly called Li Yangyang. Arrive at the hotel right away. Li Yangyang knew the location of the hotel, so Muyun didn't say much. After a while, Li Yangyang came to the hotel. Bring us back to the Dragon Court, Muyun said. What? Dragon Court? Hearing Muyun's words, Li Yangyang was a little surprised. We teleporters need to have been to a place before we can teleport. This little girl is also a teleporter. I believe you should know. Li Yangyang pointed at Chuyu and spoke. And Chuyu, who heard this, also nodded. I've already prepared the materials for the Dragon Court, and it doesn't matter if I can't teleport them directly, but I'm afraid I'll delay things in Kyoto. Muyun sighed and spoke. I can only explain the situation to Patriarch Qin. Muyun strode forward, ready to visit Qin Shanming. By the way, last time I followed behind Qin Yu, there was a woman dressed as a man, who looked quite similar to you. When Muyun walked to the door, he suddenly turned around. What the? Hearing Muyun's words, Li Yangyang was stunned for a moment. If I go to the Qin family master and take advantage of the fire and rob again, I will be a little embarrassed. How about you take us directly to the Dragon Court and then transport the materials back, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. What do you think? Muyun looked at Li Yangyang and said. Good. Li Yangyang was also happy, did not continue to cover up, and directly spoke. You see how good this is. Muyun smiled and said. How did you recognize me? The official of the Chinese country has its own transfiguration technique, and outsiders can't see any clues at all. But looking at Muyun's appearance, he should have known it for a long time. I, the Dragon Court City Lord, am I for nothing? Muyun waved his hand, and did not continue to explain. Let's go. Muyun called Bei Zishu and Yi Hanyu into the room. Go home. The reason why Muyun wanted everyone to return to the Dragon Court was because the list of materials needed in Kyoto was extremely large. It is impossible for him to expose himself here. He has been in Kyoto just to wait for Chuyu's return. The good things in Kyoto, Muyun also went away. So here too, there is no point. Kyoto is different from the Dragon Court, and there are no people to trust here. Brush. Li Yangyang urged the transfer of magical energy, and several people disappeared directly in place. And Qin Shanming also obtained this information for the first time. Hopefully, the supplies will arrive as soon as possible. Now if Kyoto can get all the materials on the list at once, in addition to solving the current problem of material scarcity, also, it will bring a virtuous circle to Kyoto. At this time, in the Dragon Court. Finally home. Muyun looked at the familiar scene, and his heart unconsciously relaxed. And Chuyu, who was extremely tired, also went directly into a deep sleep. Muyun touched Chuyu's little head with distress, and motioned for someone to take her to rest. City Lord Mu, may I ask, where are the materials? Li Yangyang did not mean to stay, and directly asked about the arrival of materials. Last time you came to the Dragon Court and experienced the insect tide, now you have finally settled down a little. Don't you stroll around here and enjoy it? Muyun did not directly question Li Yangyang. I also asked City Lord Mu to lead the lowly position to take stock of the materials first. After all, I came to the Dragon Court, and there is still time, and I will go back and forth quickly. Li Yang shook her head. She didn't want to delay for a moment before she completed the task. Well, since Miss Li said so, I won't keep it too much. Otherwise, it looks like I'm digging into the wall. Mu Yun smiled. City Lord. At this time, after Sister Lan heard Mu Yun's return, she also happened to arrive in the core area. Sister Lan, you came just in time. This is the list of materials that the official needs of the Chinese country. You take an inventory. Mu Yun handed the list to Sister Lan. So much. Our Dragon Court now. There is no R. Sister Lan looked at the list of materials and couldn't help but shake her head. It doesn't hurt. Mu Yun said and left the core area with Sister Lan. The materials are enough, but this Li Yang has teleportation powers. You know what I mean. Mu Yun is still paying attention to Li Yang now. After all, a person with such an ability is fragrant everywhere. I see. The little girl does look good. Sister Lan nodded and spoke. What looks good? I mean her power. Mu Yun supported his forehead, his face speechless. However, he also admitted that Li Yang did look good. Now that the Chinese official needs so many materials, Sister Lan shifted the topic back to the topic. You don't have to worry about this. There is no problem with me. Mu Yun signaled that Sister Lan did not have to worry about the arrival of materials. When you dock with Li Yang at that time, just pay more attention to the problems I mentioned. Mu Yun opened his mouth and said, if Li Yang can be included under his command, no matter what the Dragon Court does in the future, it will come and go like the wind. I see. Sister Lan nodded. After explaining to Sister Lan, Mu Yun came to the warehouse alone. As Mu Yun urged the small world, all the shelves were instantly filled with materials. Due to the fact that there were too many materials for the official needs of China, the last 7 or 8 warehouses were filled with materials. Boom. The materials of the entire warehouse overflowed. It's finally over. Mu Yun looked at the materials all over the ground and breathed a sigh of relief. Sister Lan. Mu Yun opened his mouth and called Sister Lan to his side. You and Li Yang doc. I'm tired too. Mu Yun said and left the warehouse. Looking at the materials that had spilled out, Sister Lan's expression was out of control. Mu Yun is worthy of Mu Yun, but in such a short time, he can actually come up with so many materials. In Sister Lan's opinion, this is an absolute miracle. Chapter 373. Now, the entire Dragon Court is so huge, in the last days, it will stand tall, all relying on Mu Yun. Although the Dragon Court was already extremely stable, if the entire Dragon Court did not have Mu Yun, it would lose the meaning of existence. And it won't last long. Mu Yun is the backbone of the entire Dragon Court. It's the day of the Dragon Court. At this time, Li Yang was anxiously waiting. After all, she had read the list of materials, such a huge list. She was worried that the Dragon Court would embarrass her. Plus came to the Dragon Court this time, although when he left, he sent a message to Qin Shanming. However, she also left Kyoto without permission and came to the Dragon Court. If anything really goes wrong, she has to carry it herself. All forces are like this, and it doesn't matter how much you try, or whether you are loyal or not. Even if you complain about a word that they hear, they will ignore all your contributions and judge you as a person who only complains and spreads negative energy. Li Yang. At this time, Sister Lan's voice came. Hello Sister Lan. Li Yang quickly turned around. She knew Sister Lan's identity. If Sister Lan withheld, she would not be able to get all the supplies. Hello. Sister Lan nodded and stretched out her palm. Let's go. The supplies are ready. There was no mud and water, and Sister Lan led Li Yang directly to the direction of the warehouse. By the way, just yourself? Sister Lan glanced at Li Yang and asked. Just me. Li Yang nodded. This time, she cut first and then played. Only she reached the Dragon Court. Only yourself. After bringing back the supplies, you should be careful of the people around you. After all, in the last days, people's hearts are difficult to prevent. Man is the most complex animal. Sister Lan looked at Li Yang, who had not experienced much in the world, and opened her mouth to remind. Okay, Sister Lan, thank you for the reminder. At this time, Li Yangyang only hoped that the materials could reach her hands as soon as possible, and what Sister Lan said, she couldn't hear it now. Forget it. Sister Lan didn't say more again. She also learned about Kyoto through materials. Kyoto is fundamentally different from the Dragon Court. If you bring back supplies in the Dragon Court, everyone will praise you, and absolutely no one is suspicious of you. But Kyoto is different. In Kyoto, the relationship is complicated, and it does not mean that if you make meritorious achievements, you will definitely be rewarded. They will even make a big fuss about you. Come on. Sister Lan sighed. Since Mu Yun had already explained to herself and gave them materials, she did not have the right to block them in the middle. Arrange the list of supplies and transport them all to this square. Sister Lan opened her mouth and ordered. After all, Li Yangyang doesn't have any qualifications to enter the warehouse now, even if it is close to the warehouse. Yes. More than a dozen superpowers heard Sister Lan's orders and quickly took action. Looking at Sister Lan, who was moving quickly, and looking at the materials that were quickly piled up, Li Yangyang always felt a dreamy feeling. Originally, she thought that she would suffer some difficulties, or that she would not be able to take all the supplies away at once. But now it seems that he is a gentleman's belly with the heart of a villain. Longting never wanted to upset her. What's wrong? In the last days, mind wandering is a very dangerous thing. Sister Lan, who was on the side, looked at Li Yangyang with hazy eyes, and interrupted her thoughts. It's nothing, thank you Sister Lan. Hearing Sister Lan's words, Li Yangyang was also shocked in his heart. Even in Kyoto, you need to watch out day and night, just in case, not to mention that you are in a foreign land now. These materials, you count them, don't miss anything. Sister Lan pointed to these materials and spoke. Good. Li Yangyang took the list of materials in his hand and began to count. These grains and fruits are so fresh. In this, there is actually meat. With the count, Li Yangyang's expression became more and more incredible. And such a huge amount of materials, Longting actually took it out at one time and threw it on the ground so casually. These materials can completely allow many forces outside to fight endlessly. There are no problems. After the count, Li Yangyang breathed a sigh of relief. I suggest you also check each of these materials for quality problems. After all, quantity is only one of them, and if there is a problem with quality, no amount of quantity will make any difference. Sister Lan was on the side and spoke again. That's fine. Li Yangyang nodded and checked the quality of materials again. With the spot check, Li Yangyang became more and more surprised. With so many supplies, none of them have any problems. Not even the slightest flaw. It's hard to believe. After all, it's in the last days. This completely exceeded their Kyoto expectations. According to Kyoto's expectations, there are so many materials. Even if they take it back, 1/10 cannot be used, and they can even accept it. Girl, I still remind you one last time, after returning to Kyoto, you must pay attention. People's hearts are unpredictable. It's good that you make meritorious achievements, but great meritorious deeds are not necessarily good deeds. After Li Yangyang confirmed all the materials, Sister Lan spoke again. Okay, I see. This time, Li Yangyang listened. By the way, someone will bring some fruit for Miss Li to eat. Sister Lan beckoned, and a pile of fruits was brought up. I can't ask for it. Li Yangyang quickly waved his hand. So many fruits are extremely precious in the last days. It can be said that these fruits, which were worthless before the end times, are now worth many high-level superpowers to fight for life and death. This is the city lord's explanation and the travel fee sent to you. Sister Lan waved her hand, indicating that it was not her meaning. Fair. This is really a reward that people can't refuse. These fruits are enough for her to exchange a lot of crystal nuclei and other supplies. Because fresh fruit, in the last days, is even more tempting. Then Miss Li, we have a chance to get together again. Sister Lan waved her hand and spoke. Okay, let's get together again. Li Yangyang nodded. She really didn't expect that in the last days, it would be so painful to obtain so many materials. It gave him a dreaming feeling. Li Yangyang took the materials and transferred them directly. Such a huge amount of materials is almost the limit of her transfer. City Lord, just let her go. Are you willing to let her go? After Li Yang left, Sister Lan asked in one direction. Sister Lan, don't think that I only understand the affairs of men and women. Mu Yun sighed and showed his figure. Chapter 374. I see what you mean. Sister Lan nodded. How could a person who was full of only male and female love create such a huge and indestructible dragon court? I mean, if we let her come a few more times, we won't have more contact. In that case, there are more opportunities. Although Sister Lan is fierce, in addition to having enough chips for solicitation, there is also through feelings. The more contact you have, the deeper your feelings may be. However, boiling frogs in warm water like that will deviate from our original ideas. I just let her take the supplies all at once, and I also made her wonder why she was so happy. No matter what you do, you have to be caught off guard to achieve the desired goal. Mu Yun also had Mu Yun's thoughts. Since he could be so happy, except that he had originally discussed it with Qin Shanming, Mu Yun also has to carry out a condemnation. For Li Yang, the heart is the saddest pass. Mu Yun did not use anyone, nor did he let Li Yang fall into injustice. He also just wants Li Yang to see the hearts of people. In Kyoto, the relationship is complicated. Li Yang is a little girl, really can't resist. If Li Yang resisted, Mu Yun would definitely be more likely to solicit. After all, the state of mind and the power are superior. Take a day off. A day later, Mu Yun and Chu Yu went to Shinanjia. At this time, Kyoto is in the middle of the city. Phew. Li Yang landed in the core area of Kyoto. It's back. Looking at Li Yang who returned, Qin Shanming personally greeted him. Hard work. Qin Shanming patted Li Yang's shoulder and spoke. Have you counted and inspected so many supplies? Qin Shanming asked with some unease. All were counted and checked. Li Yang nodded. Okay, you did a good job this time. Hard work, you go to rest. Hearing Li Yang's words, Qin Shanming waved his hand. Come man. Qin Shanming opened his mouth and ordered. Count and inspect items, and put them into storage. Qin Shanming ordered again to the core powerhouses who came around. Then asked Miss Li to wait. Li Yang, who was about to turn around and leave, was suddenly stopped by a voice. What's wrong? Li Yang seemed to bring the materials back by himself, and Qin Shanming took inventory, which was understandable. So she didn't say anything, but obeyed Qin Shanming's arrangement and left directly. This batch of materials, you need to wait here for us to finish counting and sign before you can leave. A psychic spoke up. Then Li Yang, you wait a little. This can also be regarded as a kind of protection for you. Otherwise, don't lose something in the future. Say it's because you did it. When Li Yang turned her head, Qin Shanming's voice also entered her ears. I see. Thank you for thinking about me. Li Yang nodded and did not show any emotion. More than a dozen supernatural beings were counted extremely carefully. There is only a small error in the report owner, materials, and list, and there is no problem. After various confirmations, a leading psychic spoke. Then you talk about whether this error is more or less. Li Yang asked. A little less. The supernatural who had just opened his mouth spoke again. Okay. Qin Shanming's voice appeared. There is only a small error. Isn't that normal? Li Yang, sign and go to rest. After signing, even if all the materials disappear out of thin air, it has nothing to do with you. Qin Shanming handed a letter of transfer to Li Yang. Good. Li Yang did not say more again, and directly wrote his name on the transfer book. The head of the family, although there is only a small error, but this is also under such a huge material base, it seems small. These materials are enough for a dozen people to live for nearly a year. At this time, Li Yang, who was not far away, heard this voice into his ears. It's really unpredictable. Li Yang remembered the words that Sister Lan repeated again when she finally left. It turned out that Sister Lan had expected this for a long time. People never care how much work you do, they just care what they think. They feel that you are good, and you are good. It feels like you're bad. Even if you do something, there are problems in their minds. You mean, I secretly took some of the supplies? Li Yang's character is like this. She doesn't care what others think. She just wants to fight for a truth. You present evidence now, I will immediately kowtow to you and confess. But if you can't produce evidence, I will pump you with my mouth now. Li Yang came from it angrily and spoke coldly. This is embarrassment into anger. The other psychic side. Enough. A few of you. Apologize to Li Yang. Right now. Qin Xianming, who was in the middle, frowned and spoke coldly. Miss Li, we were wrong. How dare a few superpowers refute Qin Xianming's meaning and directly bow their heads to admit their mistakes. Li Yang can only turn around and leave now. Well, you don't have to think about it. There will definitely be no one in the future to bring up this matter again. Qin Xianming comforted Li Yang in the rear. Although Qin Xianming said this, it was only one morning, and the rumors spread all over the city. Li Yang relies on his special ability when it really is. Gee, I went to Dragon City, and I don't know what my last name is. Being able to get so many supplies so quickly, I don't know what deal I made with the Dragon Court City Lord. Various sounds entered Li Yang's ears. I obviously didn't do anything. I obviously made a great achievement. Li Yang sat in the room, tears flowing uncontrollably. Sure enough, people are terrible. Sister Lan's words were repeated over and over in her mind. At this time, a day passed in the Dragon Court. How's the rest? Looking at Chuyu, who woke up, Mu Yun chuckled. HMPH. Looking at Mu Yun who came up, Chuyu snorted coldly. Get out, I'm going to get dressed. Chuyu lifted the quilt and spoke coldly. You can wear it, I'm too lazy to look. Mu Yun said as he walked. Okay, then don't go. Chuyu also simply lifted the quilt directly. Hey. Mu Yun couldn't help but glance at it. After all, this kind of legal lolly, whoever said that there was no idea, who was lying. Otherwise, I like men. Why, I slept in my clothes and you were disappointed. Chuyu saw Mu Yun who was pausing and sighed. What are you talking about? Mu Yun's old face turned red, who was sleeping in clothes. Chuyu slept with his clothes on. It's, alas, end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.